is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. The Prime Minister suggests weekly tests for non-vaccinated people. He's urging employers to encourage workers to get the COVID-19 vaccine as well. The government signs a deal to buy the Grand Bahama Airport, and April COVID cases nearly double the March number before the month's end. And in our discussion today, we are talking about mental health in the Bahamas, as May, which begins tomorrow, is Mental Health Awareness Month. That's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, April 30th, 2021. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Stephen Hanna will be joining us. Also this morning, in Morning Blend Business, we'll be talking about the Credit Bureau, what we know so far, and what you need to know as that approaches. That's all straight ahead. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, Prime Minister Dr. Jimenez saying that business owners should encourage their employees to get the COVID-19 vaccine, and he suggested that if they do not, they should get weekly PCR tests. He said it would help to keep businesses open and the country continues to grapple with the pandemic. He said as he was signing the contract for the government's purchase of the Grand Bahama International Airport yesterday that he wanted to send a message to business people to encourage employees to become vaccinated. Quote, because if your employees are vaccinated and one individual enters your premises who has evidence of COVID, you need not close your premises. You can continue. If one of your employees is not vaccinated and has COVID and the remainder of your employees are vaccinated, you need not close your premises. Your business can continue. However, if your employees are not vaccinated and an individual enters your premises who has evidence of COVID, then your business is subsequently closed temporarily for a cleaning, thus jeopardizing your economic progress. The Prime Minister suggesting the alternative for not having vaccinated employees would be having employees tested each week. These RT-PCR tests in the country cost more than $100. The government is in the early stages of its effort to vaccinate people against COVID-19. To date, 53,600 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine have arrived in the country. Another 33,000 doses from the COVAX facility are expected to arrive next month. Meanwhile, the country has recorded 1,132 new cases of COVID so far in April, nearly double the number confirmed in March, with the data from Thursday and Friday still pending. The Ministry of Health's daily dashboard showed 40 cases recorded on Wednesday, 35 on New Providence, 4 on Grand Bahama, and 1 on Andros. The cases were evenly distributed among men and women. 3 of the New Providence cases were said to have a history of travel within 14 days. Cases have increased each week in April. There are 168 cases reported from April 1st through 7th, 254 in the second week from April 8th through 14th, 333 in the third week from the 15th through the 21st, and 377 in the fourth week from April 22nd to April 28th. There were 336 cases in January, 335 cases in February, 613 cases in March, and again, 1,132 so far in April. The Ministry of Tourism and Aviation signing a contract for the acquisition of the Grand Bahama International Airport for $1 plus roughly $1 million in staff-related costs. The The signing brought the months-long negotiation process, which began in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, to a close. The airport, owned by Hutchison Port Holdings and Port Group Limited, sustained significant flood and wind damage in Hurricane Dorian in September 2019. Prime Minister Dr. Jimenez saying yesterday that every crisis brings new opportunity, and he promised the redevelopment of the facility in a more resilient way. And National Food Distribution Task Force Chair Susan Larson says that 18,000 households are benefiting from the fourth phase of the food assistance program. That program, which was set to end last month, was recently extended to June. Overseas, a stampede at a religious festival attended by tens of thousands of ultra-Orthodox Jews in northern Israel, killing at least 44 people and injuring about 150 early today. It was one of Israel's deadliest civilian disasters. The stampede began when large numbers of people thronged a narrow tunnel-like passage during the event. According to witnesses and video footage, people began falling on top of each other near the end of the walkway as they descended slippery metal stairs. One of the witnesses telling an Israeli public broadcaster that a crush of people trying to descend the mountain caused general bedlam on a slippery slope followed by stairs. Video footage showed large numbers of people, most of them black-clad ultra-Orthodox men, squeezed in the tunnel. Initial reports said police barricades had prevented people from exiting quickly. The stampede occurring during the celebrations of Lag BaOmer at Mount Meron, the first mass religious gatherings to be held legally since Israel lifted nearly all restrictions related to the coronavirus pandemic. The country has seen cases plummet since launching one of the world's most successful vaccination campaigns late last year. In sports, Bahamian DeAndre Ayton, 11 years old and still living in the Bahamas where the Phoenix Suns last went to the NBA postseason, but now at 22 and the starting center for the Suns, he has helped that franchise end that 11-year drought. The Suns taking down a key Western Conference rival, the Los Angeles Clippers, 109-101 at Phoenix Suns Arena in Phoenix on Wednesday night, booking their ticket for the playoffs. Ayton finishing the night with 5 points and a game-high 11 boards. It was a shooting night that the Bahamian may want to forget as he went 2 for 8 from the field and split a pair of free throws. But the playoff-clinching victory is what matters for Ayton and the Suns right now. He added 2 assists and 2 steals in the 27 minutes he had on the floor. Again, the last time the Suns made the playoffs was 2010, when they had Steve Nash and their point guard, Amari Stoudemire, as one of their starting forwards. Nash, now the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, and Stoudemire is his player development assistant. It was the second longest active playoff drought in the league and also tied for the 5th longest all-time in the league, Sacramento Kings, for which fellow Bahamian Giovanni Buddy Hield plays, own the longest playoff drought of 14 seasons. And from the NFL draft last night, Part 1 last season wasn't just the strangest in the 100 years of pro football. It was also the highest scoring by almost any measure. Average score, total points, and especially passing touchdowns. And because the NFL is a copycat league, you didn't have to be a general manager, scout, or even anyone else to make an educated guess about how day one of the draft would unfold. On the one hand, some of the strangeness was gone as Commissioner Roger Goodell was on stage in Cleveland along with a dozen top prospects and smaller than usual, but just as frenzied as ever crowd. But the selections make clear that tossing the pigskin around the NFL is in like never before. Quarterbacks occupying the top 3 slots, Clemson's Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville, BYU's Zach Wilson to the New York Jets, and North Dakota State's Trey Lance to San Francisco, and 5 of the first 15, also QBs. Receivers filled the next 3 and totaled 5 among the 32 picks. That's sports. And that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, a weakening ridge of high pressure will sustain moderate to locally fresh breezes across the islands while shifting eastwards ahead of an approaching cold front through tonight. For all areas today, look for mostly sunny, very warm, and breezy conditions with a slight chance of light passing showers, becoming mostly fair and mild with isolated showers, mainly near the extreme northwest Bahamas tonight. Wind southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots today, becoming variable at 10 knots or less tonight in the northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, but gusty at times in the central and southeastern islands. Seas 2 to 4 feet across all areas, but subsiding to 1 to 3 feet in the northwest Bahamas by tonight. Temperature-wise, we are at about 75 degrees under mostly cloudy skies right now. Look for highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up.
It's time for a break. When we come back, we will be discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Wake up, it's a new day.
Gran, it was good to see you, but we've got to get home.
Yep, we've got to let the dog out.
Speaking of dogs, you won't believe who I saw the other day.
Who?
Honey.
Remember Anton, Jeanette's oldest boy? The one with the dogs.
With local claims managers, we pay your motor claims fast. We're like a goodbye at your granny's that doesn't take 30 minutes.
Me,
We really got to get going.
So soon?
CG Atlantic Agents. Insurance, health, pensions, life. Good like that. Nassau Insurance Brokers and Agents Limited, trading as CG Atlantic Agents.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
The best place to get a new iPhone is at BTC. Make the iPhone 12 mini yours for just $199. That's big savings to go with our sweet postpaid value of unlimited local calls, international minutes, roaming data and minutes, plus all the data you need. Stream, share, and stay connected on the best LTE network when you switch to BTC. Visit a store to sign up today and get the iPhone 12 mini for just $199. Conditions apply.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's there. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Join me now, Stephen Hanna. Good morning, Stephen Hanna. Is he there?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Good morning, sir. Great to have you with us, as always.
What's good?
Okay. You doing well?
Yeah, man, sure. Just out here, living life, holding on.
That's very good. That's all you can do. Well, often, all you can do. Well, as usual, great to have you with us. And you can join the conversation as well. We are on Twitter at MorningBlend969 or Facebook, facebook.com/MorningBlend969. You can also email us, morningblend@nasguard.com. Or you can text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC, 422-4796, standard text rates apply. Coming up this morning, more weather, traffic, and in our 7 o'clock hour, in just a few minutes, we're going to be talking about mental health in the Bahamas. This is a big issue, of course, and it seems like for some people it is getting worse. And we're going to talk about that this morning as May, which is just hours away now. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Then later, and extending into our Morning Blend business segment, an hour, we're going to be talking about the Credit Bureau, which is coming, what you need to know, what you need to be doing, and what you need to expect coming up. So we're going to get into that. So a lot to talk about this morning, but let's begin with what's in the news. And in the news, big headline in the National Guardian today, Prime Minister suggests weekly tests for non-vaccinated, and he's urging employers to encourage workers to get the COVID vaccine. We're going to talk about that in just 1 second. Just want to quickly mention that the government signed the deal to buy the Grand Bahama Airport. In fact, that's where the Prime Minister made that comment. And for, as promised, the $1 plus roughly $1 million in staff-related costs. Of course. But the Prime Minister is promising that this is going to be a new day and that this is a great opportunity for Grand Bahama. And he is saying that the people of Grand Bahama, through their government, must, quote, own this airport and thereby regain control of how it is developed, how it is operated, and how it can best be used to improve economic outcomes for the tens of thousands of Bahamians who live on this island. He said that through this purchase, we have ensured that all who want to be will be properly engaged by the airport authority and with the appropriate compensation packages. And the official turnover date is May 31st, and the contracts to the employees being re-engaged will be issued during the week of May 24th. And as we've heard before, the government's going to enter or seek to enter into a PPP, a public-private partnership, to assist with the rebuilding of the airport. And they're promising that U.S. pre-clearance will return as they spend $1.5 million to repair the current facility. All right. So we will see. We will see how that goes. We'll have more on that, I'm sure, over the next few days. But again, what the Prime Minister said yesterday, very, very interesting. And some will say, huh? Take a listen to this report from our Taylor Ferguson.
Business owners should encourage their employees to get the COVID-19 vaccine. That was one of the messages touted by the Prime Minister in Grand Bahama this afternoon, as he insisted it will help to keep businesses open and the economy afloat.
I want to send a message to the business sector. Kindly encourage all of your employees to become vaccinated. Because if your employees are vaccinated and one individual enter your premises who has evidence of COVID, you need not close your premises. You can continue. If one of your employees is not vaccinated and has COVID, and the remainder of your employees are vaccinated, you need not close your premises. Your business can continue.
Dr. Minnis said businesses with unvaccinated employees place the establishment's finances at risk.
I want to again encourage you to advise all your employees to become vaccinated. And for those who are not, I encourage you to have them take a COVID test, PCR test, weekly, so as not to jeopardize the remainder of your employees.
Our Taylor Ferguson with that report there. Okay, weekly tests for the non-vaccinated, but all must encourage their workers to get vaccinated. All right. So, many had been speculating based on what we heard from weeks ago, months ago, that we'd be heading in this direction where more and more you'd be hearing that this is going to become, well, it's not going to be mandatory. No one's ever going to say that word, but it's going to be very, very difficult for you to function in this world without being fully vaccinated. And it is being clearer and clearer. The Bahamas is accelerating toward that.
It's fun when people dance around things and be like, no one said mandatory.
Right?
But you have to do it.
Yeah.
It's like
don't say the M word.
Right, but if you make it impossible for very uncomfortable, then it might as well be its policy at that point. Right. So it's like, as a person who doesn't object to the vaccine at all, it's just like, this is, I know the reason that they are afraid to just come out right and say everybody needs to take this is because, and it's their own fault. Because when you prey on people's ignorance, then you turn around and be like, oh, this ignorance is backfiring now. I don't know how we can address this. That's where we're at right now. So it's like they don't want to just outright be like, everybody needs to take this. This has to happen. That's the end of it. Everybody, if you want to move forward, we got to take this. You can't take that without losing votes and popularity and your power. So you're like, okay, we'll just say everything will be better, and we'll just only offer things to people who get it until everybody feels like they have to get it.
Oh, yes. And, of course, no mention of testing being more affordable at all, and weekly at $100 and something. Well, my goodness. Okay. Let's hear what you have to say about it, folks. This is quite interesting. 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us again today, please, for goodness sake. We don't want to hear your views on the vaccine and what's it going to do. And we've covered that. My goodness, right? We don't need any more. What are you thinking? What do you have to say about what the Prime Minister is saying, right? This is basically saying that this is going to be required. It's going to be mandatory. If you want to function unless you're living in a cave or you are a hermit in your own place and you work for yourself and you don't come outside, right? That's what we want to talk about. Save your conspiracy theories for another day or show. But let's talk. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Strachan, how you doing, sir?
Hi, good morning.
Stephen, how you doing?
I'm well.
Strachan, I mean, you remember a long time people were saying this Prime Minister is a coward? Just basically trying to strong arm people and threaten people, okay? And tell you the truth. No, Mr. Strachan.
Mm-hmm.
All the government got to do is be a man. Come out and say him.
Be a man.
And say this to me. If you don't get vaccinated, you can't work. No, all Bahamians who don't take the vaccine need to take his backside to court. Just really threaten people publicly, and then Mr. Strachan.
That's not exactly what happened there.
What do you mean by let's meet Mr. Strachan. First of all,
he's recommending. Some businesses won't require it.
Mr. Strachan, I'll say it again. Payroll having free vaccination.
Why do you keep
more?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, we encourage everybody to do a commercial.
No, Mr. Strachan. Payroll having free vaccination tomorrow morning at St. Gregory's Parish. Right? Okay. Every resident of Golden Gates, take your vaccine, because the bottom line, this man trying to be careful. People ain't working. People can't pay their bills. Who you think afford to pay greedy doctors like his son $100 every week to get vaccinated? That's really ridiculous.
Well, this is great that what you said P is doing. That's wonderful. More people who can help out. Although anybody could get vaccinated now, it seems.
The government, Mr. Strachan, you lead the charge. Hello?
Yeah.
Please tell the Prime Minister, make vaccination free in this country. Stop having his son in your Lutra.
Well, you mean testing.
No, you're testing free.
Because the vaccine is free.
No. First of all, testing free. people, first of all, you can't be a government who don't explain nothing. Everybody in charge explain boopy. If people really know the vaccine is safe, they will take it to them. Right or wrong? You take it, Jefferson Stone?
I'm going to.
No, I mean, Stone. I ain't trying to get the place of business. You ain't take it, so that means you have doubts too.
No,
right
that doesn't mean that. I've got my going to. Yes, I will be. I will be. We'll do it on the show. How about that? Since everyone's so concerned. I appreciate it.
I just find who you know. You can get Allen, right?
No.
Ian is your brother, right?
That's Rumkey. Rumkey straws. Yep. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Rumkey. Huh? What's that? What does that mean? If it's from Cat Island, that means what? We're safe, we're covered, but we're from Rumkey. So, oh boy. So what does that mean?
Vote for Brave.
Oh, that's where he was going with that. Oh, I should have known. Oh, Brave. Well, Rumkey isn't okay.
And it's Cat Island and San Salvador.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Oh, Rumkey and that too.
Yeah.
Well, nobody should remember Rumkey.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, hey. I should have known. It wasn't about my family or well-being. It was about Brave. Yes. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi. Good morning, Dwight and Stephen. How are you?
We're doing well. Good morning.
Great. Hey, I have a concern with regards to the Prime Minister or the government trying to strong arm the country in taking this vaccine. Mm-hmm. Realistically, who can afford taking a test every week? Come on. Yeah. Is that even normal for you to be sitting up having somebody shove that swab down your nose every week? Seriously? Mm. And then on top of that, he's right here bragging about, he paid $1 Bahamian for the airport, but yet you taking on all this expense of repair. You allow the seller to walk away again with the insurance. You're picking up the bag with having to pay severance and everything else. Mm-hmm. Really? Is that really $1 now?
Definitely not.
Okay, so I don't know why he's always shoving his foot in his mouth. I mean, without even considering what all he's taken on. Mm-hmm. I'm happy that it's actually in the Bahamian hand, but at what cost? Why are you continuously allowing Hutchison Mampour to walk away with insurance and you take on all of his expense, what he should have actually settled?
These are good questions. Very good questions.
I don't get it, man. This government don't think rationally. I mean, you wouldn't run a business like that. You wouldn't take on that type of liability and expense and so forth. So why is this government continuously putting their hand inside the people's purse?
Well, I know they say
at all costs, just to try to make himself look as if, okay, this is the right thing, when indirectly you're costing us so much money and so much expense.
Well, with that, I think they're looking at the bigger picture. The long term, this will be better for Grand Bahama and the residents there. They need to have a quality airport. So perhaps I'm sure that is what's going on.
Yeah,
but as you say, it's a good question at what cost.
Right. I don't have no problem with that, but who's doing this negotiation? Because clearly they're not even trying to think about benefiting at any cost. I mean, in terms of negotiating. Who lets the seller walk away with insurance and you pick up all the expense? Would you do that?
I certainly wouldn't.
Okay, that's my point.
But who knows what the original agreement was, and that's the scary part.
So it all comes back. Hotel?
Well, I mean, everything, what they agreed to do and what they were allowed to do.
This is the same seller.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously they have some fantastic contracts where they get
I wish I could sell somebody crap and walk away with all the cash on a sale.
Oh my! But let me ask you something. So about the test, and the vaccine. So you're going to get the vaccine? You have it already? What do you?
No, I'm not taking anything that's for emergency use only. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't even put anything in my card that's for emergency use only.
Oh boy. So what are you going to do? You're going to get tested or you work for yourself?
I work for myself, but guess what? Like Cuba Dingham used to say, it ain't long now.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye. Well, we had a call a couple days ago who said, don't be surprised if in a few weeks you're told you can't enter the supermarket if you don't have a vaccine or proof of that you're fully vaccinated. Sure, don't be surprised. Boy, brave new world, eh? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning to you all.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, what I'd like to say is that the employers should be made to purchase these tests. You know, we are better than not want to tax our employers. We don't want to tax the economy. You know, we say that how we tax the economy, these people's going to go. we have no problem in taxing the poor man, right? I also say that, you got callers that like to talk about how the hard, the brave Davis have, right? And they like to bash Holly Moultrie. But Holly Moultrie talk about the disparities in the power of the voters in New Providence and Grand Bahama. You have Dr. Minnis. He needs almost 3,000 votes to come to power, right? And a man like Brave Davis only needs 800. How is that? Where's the democracy there? You see, all of these family islands are the same way. You see, this is wrong. You see, and it's time the media have some honesty and bring the things, the issues that these people need. There's a thing now about
I feel like the media. I mean, in particular, I can't talk for the media, but I know for certain this program is always talking about how we need to change our system of governance. We're always talking about either local government or becoming a federal republic.
Okay, what I like to say, right, is, okay, we talk about changing our system of government, but let
me hear what he says. Let him finish, Stephen. Then we can.
Okay. Remember the other day we talked about the commission meeting, the election commission, the boundaries commission, right? They talk about adding seats to kind of help things and Kalani. The media and the sentiments in the media was good to echo. Or we can't afford to add more seats because
you're being unfair when you say media, though. That's what you heard on talk shows, right? So I don't think you should be. Right? Well, no, it's not. But the media presented you with what he said, and you all make your decisions. You decide what you want to do or say about it, and that's what you heard people say in response, right? So the populace to speak more about these issues,
right?
And we're not having that dialogue as frequently as we should.
Remember, the Haja Block came. Holly Moultrie came on the Haja Block show and mentioned the disparity, but nobody echoed it. The media didn't echo it.
No. You got to stop with this media thing. You got to stop. That's where you heard it. You heard it in the media. You heard. No. We can't. The media is not a god or a communist dictator, right? So stop that. You heard it in the media. It's the people who aren't saying something. Like that's what your issue is, right? So what are we going to do about that?
But beyond that, it's not a singular person. And like this whole idea where it's like, first of all, that's not true, right? It's like because I know there's one show that was like, there's no problem with it. Another show is like, I can't believe they're trying to do this. And so like, first of all, within the media, it is as diverse as the Bahamian public itself, right? So there's no way that you're going to hear one solitary voice or one message from the quote-unquote media. The only thing the media has in common is all of us use radio waves to transmit frequencies over the airwaves back and forth.
And microphones. And microphones, probably.
No, some of these places don't even have microphones.
Just a camera. Okay.
Some of them don't have, but that's the thing. Once it's wireless and once it's the internet, it's all radio waves, right? So the internet uses radio, Wi-Fi is radio waves, radio is radio waves, television uses radio waves when it's free to air, right? It's all radio waves. So at the end of the day, that's the only thing they have in common. This idea that the media is something that he is parroting from American television, but it's also not true there either. So it's like, that's like saying all Bahamian people, all they want to do is eat conch. Right? And you will find there are tons of Bahamian people who are like, I've never eaten conch in my life. I don't like conch. I'm 7-day Adventist, so I technically shouldn't be eating conch. So it's any number of reasons. Like, to pretend we're a monolith is not just as unfair, but it's like you're never going to get to the point of your statement or what you're actually for if you're just sitting down trying to blame a faceless, nameless, and in this case, non-existent entity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like if you want to get to the point and say, we as a country need to do this.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't try to blame a boogeyman in the corner and say the media isn't doing this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That clearly sounds like that's the kind of rhetoric you hear on American talk radio or television, and people think that applies here. You are hearing it only on the media. So
right, if it wasn't for the quote unquote media,
you wouldn't hear about it at all. Right. So talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, talk to people on the street. Like, why aren't you concerned about this? Right? Did you hear what they were talking about on those shows today? Oh, no? You're more concerned about what Kanye West is doing? Okay, well, there you go. There you go.
I think you
That was a personal thing.
or overestimate your audience.
Anyway, let's take this call. Good morning, caller on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good
Hi.
morning, Stephen.
Good morning.
Yeah, I agree with the both of you. I just want to I hear this. Yes, some of the things that Mr. Mutri said was true, but if he was that passionate and really concerned, why did he show it up?
Why what? Sorry?
If he was exposed, why did he show it up to the house yesterday? That day.
He wanted to make a point.
He could have called the press conference. He shouldn't show up.
I mean,
I think it's because he knew they would ignore him.
Pardon me?
I think because he knew they would ignore him if he didn't show up.
Yeah, but ignore, and you talking about safety.
Okay, do you really have an issue with this? He wanted to make a point.
I know he wanted to make a point. The point would have been made to me if he didn't show up.
Well, maybe to you, but not to the
if he
people who
didn't
need
show
to
up, because he exposed too. Because if he was in the surrounding of the gentleman who has the COVID positive,
okay.
Why did he show up to the house?
She has a point because, like,
that's my point, Stephen. Why did he show up? He could have do the press conference elsewhere. And still make a strong point.
No, it wouldn't have been as strong.
It would have been a strong point because he would not be in the presence to either catch COVID. He would have been in quarantine.
Okay.
That would have been a stronger point. And with Diagolo, the Minister of Tourism, who tried to throw a jab at the opposition, more than the opposition, talk about they shouldn't have purchased different hotel and how they were going about even purchasing the airport. The private sector even made mention of it. It was not only the opposition. And the devil is in the detail. Just how Guardian Radio observed the wrong signing with the Oban deal, trust me, because this government shows example. You would like to see the detail of that negotiation.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. They're all over the place this morning. Good morning. You're on the air.
A godly day to the voice God is come. Also, I want to say the kingdom of God is come. Dwight, to you and Stephen, godly day.
Good morning.
Stephen, before I make my 3 points, I want to say to you, Queen's College should be proud of you.
Stephen?
Why should Queen's College be proud of me?
Because you carry on very much intelligent.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't go to Queen's College, though.
Say it again?
He didn't go to Queen's College.
Okay, your school then.
What?
Your last school.
I went to Princeville.
Okay.
Say it again?
I went to Princeville.
You're Princeville. Okay.
Well, should Queen's College be proud of me? I did go to QC.
Oh, you went.
No,
Yeah?
they
They
shouldn't.
shouldn't. I'm a disgrace. Yes.
You're doing a beautiful job.
Oh, thank you.
you're doing
Thank you
a
very
beautiful
much.
job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, you know what I want to say? First, I want to ask you, Dwight. The vaccine, right? Which one of the vaccine would hadn't give any problem? What's the name of it?
Oh, the one that give the least amount of problems?
That's difficult to say.
If any at all.
There have been some side effects and some issues with all of them, it seems.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you. Now, my 3 other questions. One,
let's make it
what's
snappy.
Say that again?
We run out of time, but okay. Mm-hmm.
A minimum rate, wage, how much is that? And what percentage of the airport, the Bahamian people gonna get it? That would be ours. And my last question is, what's my last question? Ooh, boy, it got away from me. Oh, man. Anyhow, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. We're straying. We're really straying. I don't know what's going on. All right. So is he talking about the Grand Bahama Airport? I mean, it's now in the hands, or will be in the hands of the government. All right. Let's go to the text line because calls are getting a little Freaky Friday-ish. All right. This one here is a interesting point they're raising here. What do you make of this? I'm not understanding the brouhaha about the Prime Minister's suggestion that unvaccinated people be tested weekly. Don't people working at Bahamar, Atlantis, and other places undertake weekly tests? People need to stop opposing for opposing's sake and see the utility in the measure. Well, I don't think they are at those places. I don't think they are paying. Are they paying for the test there? I don't think that is the case, and we're not sure if that's going to be how some businesses, if this is going to be requirement is a dangerous word, but if that's going to be a requirement, if they're going to take it upon themselves to provide the test for their employees, that's going to be.
Listen, okay, so like this is and once again, I am fully behind everybody getting vaccinated, right? But with that said, some of these business places don't offer health insurance. Some of these business places is trying to swing you out of your sick days that are mandated by law and the government, all right? So if that's the situation and that's the case, right? When the government encourages these businesses to make you get the shot or somehow coerce you into getting the shot, if by chance you are the 1 in 1 billion or 1 in 100 million persons who has a blood clot issue, will these businesses take full responsibility in that regard? Because the
answer to that.
I know the answer to that. The government knows the answer to that. The workers know the answer to that. Yes. But the question is, when you put somebody up against a wall and say, well, you could play the game, either worry about getting a blood clot and dying on the side of the road, or you could feed your family tomorrow. Which one you gonna pick?
Wow.
Right? And that's the situation where the government is putting a lot of persons in. Because it's like, once the businesses start saying, "Hey, get this," or you need to push out, because businesses could figure out a way to fire people easily. Most businesses inside the Bahamas don't have no unions inside it. So there's like they're protecting workers' rights outside of the little government laws that are there, and half the time these businesses break those laws anyway. So my issue with this entire thing, with the government pushing for it, isn't that I have an issue with the vaccine, isn't that I don't think everybody should get it. It's that the government needs to do more to build confidence. I know the Prime Minister took the shot. Some people still don't believe it, but it can't just be that the only means of communication that you have with the public about the vaccine is the once-a-week press conference where doctors tell persons, you should take the vaccine. Because the doctors, if they were actors or if they were influencers or if they were politicians, then they wouldn't be doctors. It's more like you need more of a push. If this is a marketing campaign, market it. Market to us why we should do this, why we should accept the minimal risk to make this happen. But the government isn't doing that. Also, where's the incentive? If you saying the testing is a better alternative, make the testing free. Like there's any number of things that could be done. But what's happening right now is the government has figured out the easiest way to do this is to push people up against the wall, but they won't do it themselves. They'll let your employer push you up against the wall.
Yeah. Yep. You're making some great points there. They could also just say, no more Miami for you. And I think that'll get a lot of people moving. But let's read some more messages. Someone says here, why do we have...
I'm in Miami in
I know, right? I know, but that's going to work for a lot of people, though.
I'm not an animal.
You need to stop. All right. This text, why do we have some students still registering for the first time and showing up to schools 1 month before school closes? Are these students supposed to move on to the next grade level after 1 month of hybrid learning where they only came to school 1 to 2 days a week? This makes no sense. Who should be held accountable for this? Let me see. The parents. Parents are not held accountable for anything these days. Okay. Well, that's an interesting question there. This one here, Dr. Minnis is officially deranged. Yes, he's lost his freaking mind. Wow. He doesn't even want to test exposed government staff, and now talking garbage about PCR tests weekly, trying to force people to get vaccinated by fear and intimidation, but don't even have sufficient vaccine in the country for citizens to be inoculated. This man's deranged. At least we know who's advising him. Who's that? Who's advising him? Okay. This one says, I'm beginning to question the medical competence of the Prime Minister. The first thing you learn in medical school is that natural immunity is better than vaccines. Yeah? Is that what you learned? Vaccines are used to get immunity without symptoms. So why are people who recovered from COVID considered immune? Well, only we don't know how long they're immune for. That is the thing, right?
Also, because of the various strains. Well,
yes.
the various strains making the vaccine come into question because they have the Indian strain, what they're calling the double mutation, has like 20 different mutations that some of them bypass your immune system. So your immune system doesn't, like if you catch it, it doesn't respond correctly.
Right.
And so like those are the issues.
Again, we've only been dealing with this for about a year and a half, if you count China in 2019. So we don't know yet. And it is unclear, as we had the discussion with Dr. Forbes this week, who said the same thing. We don't know. Some people are showing to only have immunity for a few months, others, some a year so far. But how long will it last? And that is the concern. So, this one says, what asinine flit the PM inhaled or was exposed to with that weekly testing announcement? It's a suggestion, apparently. Suggestion.
Yeah, but anybody who could tell you, this is the 21st century, Dwight. People should know by now how the power dynamic thing works. If I have a lot of power, there's no way that anything I say could be taken as a suggestion. When the CEO of a company walks in the room and say, "Oh, Stephen, yeah, that's not a suggestion." I'm just saying that's not a suggestion.
Well, you say it like that, but you would look better with your haircut, something like that. And then,
right.
Right.
But I'm saying, that's still not a suggestion.
Right.
Like literally, your manager will then come to you and say, "Why didn't you cut your hair?"
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like whether or not it's on the books or whatever. If the prime minister says something that alludes to a policy or a push in a certain direction, it's not a suggestion. It doesn't matter how they phrase it.
Mm-hmm.
The dynamics of power call for that to be taken seriously as a statement. That's a fact. That's what he wants you to do. And because he is the person with all the cards, either you do it or you are going against what he wants.
Definitely. Some more messages. Someone says the prime minister telling employers to make sure employees take the vaccine sounds more like a threat. Another one, it's no more conspiracy. It seems like the sushi boss just spilled the beans before the competent authority. Yep, it's been seeming like that for a few days now, actually. Another one, I hear people call for free COVID-19 testing. Adult population is over 300,000, and at $150 a test, that's over $30 million. Where is the money coming from? Well, that's why people are calling for free testing. Right? No. Okay. You're saying who's going to pay for that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's
see if I should pay for it now.
Right.
I'm saying, like, regardless, like.
Well, the people pay for the vaccine, which is us again. So, yeah.
We're paying for. You're paying for it, either coming or going.
Yeah. This one says, we knew this was coming. The sad thing is that the prime minister said otherwise. Another pivot in Minnes's game. Another one, putting politics aside, isn't anyone happy for the people of Grand Bahama? A lot of belly aching. But
it's not that. It's like I feel like they could have do better. I just feel like crisis or any sort of disaster is always horrible, but it also gives you an opportunity to reset the entire thing. And I feel like the opportunity is lost when we already had a place with the issue that wasn't perfect. It gets destroyed or it's in disrepair, and we could say, okay, now we could start over from scratch. And we're like, no, let's go back there. We don't need to build nothing classy or better.
Yeah.
We could just rebuild that same thing right back. Like, that's my issue with it personally.
All right, let me read a few more of these before we have to take a break. Someone says here, if everyone in the Bahamas does not have access to a vaccine shot right now, then why even suggest that businesses make it mandatory? It's crazy. Another one, it's all things COVID, masks, testing, vaccines should be free and still never be mandatory, or any other words equivalent to mandatory. Okay, Dwight, you seem to be pushing this no vaccine, no entry, no travel more than the PM. Really? Me? You seem to have an agenda. What? There are international laws that address this subject that will be challenging for many of these countries. The court has already ruled late last year that you can't force people to take this or any vaccine. I seem to be. I'm just telling you what's happening, right?
But it's like you could say what everyone say, right? At the end of the day, you could have all the laws that you want in the world to say that your citizens don't have to do this or don't have to do that. But when it comes to borders, that thing that's been around, I guess, since the 1950s and 60s, the reason why you need a passport and a visa to go less than 100 miles from Bimini is the same thing that's going to prevent you from traveling all over the world without a vaccine. It's just like that's just the way the world is now. And if somebody inside Paris, France says, hey, we don't want nobody inside this country who don't have the vaccine or this type of vaccine, then you will not be going to Paris, not legally.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Couple more messages here. Someone says, I know if they do prevent you from going to the food store, unless you have the vaccine, it will be the mark of the beast. The only two criteria are, one, you had something in your hand that they could check, and two, if you don't have this thing, you can't buy bread. Prophecy fulfilled. Okay,
so I'm going to say hard no. Because, and also, they'll never stop you from going to the food store because the people who own the food stores, they love money more than they love you or your life. So they will let you go inside there. I'm sure that's where everybody catching COVID from anyway. Because all the Bahamians love to pick up too much stuff. They pick up a can of corn, pick up this 30 pounds of meat, get to the cash register. Remember, they only bring $5, so they only buy one chip. They put the meat on top of the candy by the cashier. Then the parking boys, who ain't getting paid in the first place, living off of tips, which is, I'm sure, in breach of some sort of labor law, right? Have to then go restock those things, wiping it down before they restock it. So it's like, there's no way you can tell me that there isn't a chance of cross-contamination that somebody walk inside any of these food stores who have COVID, either asymptomatic or they stand far away enough from those little thermometer laser things.
All those things are the reasons why that might actually become a thing, though. That's right. So
I'm saying, at the end of the day, they're not going to turn away money. It's not that you're not going to get food. You're not going to be able to go inside. There's a difference between not being able to get food and not being able to go inside. Right. And I promise you, these food stores will never turn away money.
All right, here, a couple more messages as we go. Taking a vaccine is a major difference, a big difference between, very different, I guess you're saying, compared to a test. Vaccine is a one-time thing. Tests are continuous. Who will pay for those tests? Not my tax-paying money, okay? And this one...
encourage the people to take the vaccine. And this one, have a proper thing, have a proper media campaign about it.
This one here, I'm not understanding whether... already read that, okay. His statement was encouraged, so I interpreted that as the employer would provide it. Oh, yeah? The rapid antigen test costs less than $3 a dose, so what industry should do is say, okay, PM, we will do this, but the government should provide a means for us to get a ready supply of tests.
If you think that ain't coming out everybody's salary...
Yeah, that sounds like it. All right, we're going to take a break. After we get back, we're talking about mental health in the country. What is happening? Are things getting worse? We're going to get into that after the break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Can't wait, I can't wait to dance. Let the rhythm take you over, don't be shy.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Time for your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. Here's what's happening. We've got in your real-time traffic already, Sir Mile Butler Highway, heavy traffic northbound, heading towards Tawny Williams-Darling Highway. Gladstone Road looking a little bit better for you, but as you get closer to JFK Drive, you'll be noticing the traffic there. In fact, you might even have some issues there as you get closer. But keep that in mind this morning so far. And Blue Hill Road northbound, just north of Soldier Road, the northbound lanes heading towards Independence Drive in the roundabout there. Looking busy already, and traffic is backed up along Independence Drive westbound towards that roundabout as well. Carmichael Road eastbound heading towards Blue Hill Road also getting busy. And we're seeing the pockets already along Prince Charles Drive and Robinson Road at the major intersections. That's what we're seeing so far. We'll have another real-time report for you just after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. We've got a weakening range of high pressure that will sustain moderate to locally fresh breezes across the islands today while shifting eastwards ahead of an approaching cold front. That's going to continue through tonight. For all areas today, look for mostly sunny and very warm conditions, a bit breezy as well, with a slight chance of light passing showers, becoming mostly fair and mild with isolated showers near the extreme northwest Bahamas. Temperature-wise today, look for highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. Right now we are at about 77 in Nassau. In your extended outlook, that ridge of high pressure will continue to weaken as a cold front sags southwards and lingers near the northern islands before shifting east through the weekend. So don't expect any cool downs. But for Saturday, we're looking at variably cloudy, hot, and humid conditions with ice in the northwest Bahamas, mostly sunny and warm with a slight chance of isolated showers in the central and southeastern Bahamas. Sunday, partly sunny to sunny, warm, and a bit breezy with a few light showers. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Rev. Basketball fans, sign up or upgrade to Rev Trio and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free. Call 601-8992 or email trio@cablebahamas.com to sign up. Rev, you and us together.
The Department of Environmental Health Services and the Ministry of Environment is proud to present the Enviro Bahamas app, an app designed to cut down on the wait time of non-collection, swift removal of hazardous items, old furniture, appliances, and the eyesore of community pileup. Skip the call-in hotlines. Get straight to the source. Search Enviro Bahamas in the Google Play Store. Get rid of the crap. Download the app today.
Cash is what we have been using for generations to pay or receive money. That is great news for business owners. I'm Lasagna Mizik, Managing Director at RBC Royal Bank, encouraging you to find out how going cashless can benefit your business with faster transactions and settlements, better cash flow management, plus reduce risk of theft. Learn more at rbc.com/Caribbean/go cashless. RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best. Believe in best.
Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean. Do you want a card that does more? CIBC First Caribbean Visa Debit Card allows you to shop locally, online, and internationally with funds directly from your linked savings or checking account. Visit CIBCFCIB.com to learn more today. Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free along with incredible prizes, including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy?
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, along with Stephen Hanna on this Friday morning. And May, which begins tomorrow, is Mental Health Awareness Month. Here to talk about this, we are very, very happy to have back with us Dr. Enrica Richardson. Great to have you as always. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. And we are brave enough to have you in studio this morning. We've been talking to you via Zoom for months now, but you're here with us. And very glad to see you.
You got me out.
Okay, we're very happy. I haven't seen Stephen in almost a year.
Stephen, what's going on? You just don't want to interact with us?
Dr. E.
I know you've seen me too, right?
Oh, I don't know what to make of that. Okay. All right, Stephen, that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, so we know we don't like to use the term crazy, but that's the only thing that can describe what we are seeing, and in increasing numbers here, it seems, in this country. And it's been from the time this show started. I can say that the number of people, it's not related to the show, but the number of people who would fit under that term seems to be increasing, especially here in New Providence. Is that just me going to the wrong places, or do you all, as psychologists, as psychiatrists, as clinicians, do you see this as well? Are we seeing something happening in this country in the past few years?
Yes, and now I think it's increasing even more, especially as we are all going the continued pandemic. And I think what we'll start to see is that people are taking care of their mental health, looking for services that are available. And I am hoping that, of course, that the government makes more free initiatives to help and make mental health a priority.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we know that hasn't happened yet.
We're hoping.
You're hoping. All right, so let's talk about it. What's going on? I mean, you see people. I tell people this all the time, that when I was younger, you knew the people who were, quote unquote, again, crazy on the streets. There were a few of them. They were always in the same areas. But it seems now that every week we're seeing new people who seem to be out of their minds, who are going through challenges, and we don't. No, we speculate that it's drugs. We speculate that it's, I don't know what else. But what do we know so far?
Well, we know a lot of, it could be genetic, inherited things that could be creating the mental health concerns. It could be drugs or alcohol. A lot of it sometimes are just trauma responses. So let's growing up, if they've witnessed any forms of violence, even getting into a major accident can produce certain mental health effects. And so it's very important that we look at what mental health is, which is the emotional, psychological, and your social well-being, because it affects how you think, how you behave, how you feel, And on a daily basis, we try to handle a lot of stress related to how we interact with others, how we make choices. And mental health affects you at every life stage. So from the time you were conceived, believe it or not, and there's been research about how in utero, like if the mother is going through a lot of traumatic events, that is genetically passed down now through the genes to a child. So even before they've gotten into the world, they've had exposure to these things. And then they come into an environment that with already these genetic vulnerabilities, and it gets exposed, and then you start to see mental health visible issues show up. And I want to make sure that people realize there are visible and then there are invisible issues, and concerns are very invisible. And so we must not just look at the person who is exhibiting these signs and say, well, it must just be them, because there are many of us walking around on a daily basis who are just trying to hold it together. And so we have to be more conscious of that, conscious of our language, conscious of our interactions. And in this month that we're so excited that the whole mental health collective got together to put events on for free, that we're hoping that we can help educate and take the mental health initiative to the next level, because we can't no longer wait for governmental support to get things done. We have to do it as corporate citizens. And I can say that it was not only people who were local, Bahamians throughout the world got together to make sure that these events were put on and that we could showcase for our citizens so they could be educated, they could have some access to services during this time.
Yeah, let's talk more about that in a bit. But you mentioned the invisible signs. Let's talk more about those. What are we talking about there?
So when I'm talking about invisible things, I'm talking about all those things you go through internally that nobody can see. So when we look for signs of, say, depression, we could say that somebody appears to be sad, but we don't actually know how they're feeling inside. And those invisible things that, I call it the functionally depressed now. That's a huge one that's happening. Those ones, the people who come to work every day, they're smiling. Maybe they're the top functioning worker in the job environment. But as soon as they go home, there's nobody eating, they're not sleeping, they're not socially interacting, even via like electronic communication. And they just want to be to themselves. And they are sitting there ruminating on those thoughts of just feeling less than a person.
Wow. So even the office comedian might be that person.
It may be. Yeah. And actually, if you look at Freud would say that that office comedian probably has a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
So you may want to ask them a few questions.
Again, this was happening before the pandemic. We were seeing these before that.
We were seeing a lot of those symptoms before, and now we're seeing a lot of symptoms that have been exacerbated. I was actually talking to a mental health colleague yesterday about this, because one of the new symptoms I'm starting to see is people are getting a lot of panic anxiety now with going outside, believe it or not.
Wow.
So now that the world is opening back up.
Not this place with the $92,000 party fines, anyway. But still, there are lots of people who haven't been out. Right. Yes, exactly.
Well, you could even see that with people who are now they're doing things that they felt like they were entrapped. So now they're getting out and they're not making the wisest, so they're not protecting themselves. Pardon me?
Isn't that itself one of the symptoms of like persons who might be having an episode or going through something where they put themselves in risky situations?
It is.
Right. So like anything is possible. Like it's difficult to tell, I guess, if you're not a certified professional.
It's difficult to tell, but you can look at somebody's behavior from what you've known and see those changes. Those would be the things I would say to a normal layperson to look for. You know when somebody is just off their game. And so what I'll also say is that people are having issues with driving. That's one of the biggest ones we're starting to see.
What do you mean?
Getting back in the car and going on roads with lots of people and just being in an enclosed environment. So
This is after being locked down with the pan. Okay.
So
not just the regular Bahamian drivers can't drive thing.
Right.
Just wow.
And then I'm also seeing a lot of just social anxiety, getting back out and interacting, either vaccinated or being socially safe, just getting out and interacting on a daily basis, I've started to see now that's happening on the other side. And those are just a few of the initial symptoms you're seeing as a result of us getting back outside.
Yeah.
So we haven't even really gotten into what it all looks like yet.
Boy, I think we're about to go to the news, but one of the last times you were on the show, we were talking about suicide. We know that we'd had a spike last year. Let's talk more about that and what's behind that.
Okay. So right now, I would say that I will say for at least the end of this month, it seemed to like the suicidal attempts that I've known about have gone down.
Okay.
So
that's
encouraging. But that still doesn't mean that we shouldn't be on alert, because the highest growing population I've seen locally is our adolescent population. And I'm talking anywhere from age 13 to about 16. I'm seeing an increase of calls for cases. And so that makes us more mindful. And those individuals, straight A students in school.
My goodness.
So they're performing very well. But after they get off of school, they are going straight to sleep. They're not interacting with their families. They're not eating. They have no social support right now. And now that they're trying to be reintegrated to like the hybrid school systems, that's also still creating issues.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bullying still going on.
Wow. All right, we're going to break for news and come back with more with Dr. E. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Bless your soul. You really think you're in control? Well, I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. Also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us at 422-4796. And now at 8:22, time for your another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. We've got a weakening high pressure ridge that's going to sustain moderate to locally fresh breezes across the islands while shifting eastwards ahead of an approaching cold front through tonight. For all areas today, look for mostly sunny, very warm and breezy conditions with a slight chance of a light passing shower today, becoming mostly fair and mild with isolated showers near the extreme northwest Bahamas tonight. Temperatures getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius for your highs today. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. In your extended outlook as we head into the weekend, the ridge will continue to weaken as a cold front will sag southwards and linger near the northern islands before shifting east of the Bahamas through the weekend. So for tomorrow, Saturday, look for variably cloudy, warm, or hot, we should say, and humid chance of an isolated thunderstorm in the northwest Bahamas, mostly sunny and warm with a slight chance of isolated showers in the central and southeast Bahamas. For Sunday, partly sunny to warm, and breezy with a few light showers. That's your Morning Blend weather check brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. And in another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. We've got the usual suspects this morning. Very hot today. We've got Smile Butler Highway, heavy traffic from Fire Trail northbound all the way up to Tawny Williams-Darling Highway. Gladstone Road also busy northbound heading towards JFK Drive. Carmichael Road eastbound, heavy traffic as you get closer to Blue Hill Road. And Blue Hill Road is, as usual, challenged just in the northbound lanes north of Soldier Road heading towards Independence Drive. Elsewhere, we've got Eastern Road, not as heavy as usual, but we've got some traffic heading in the westbound direction just west of Fox Hill Road, between Fox Hill and Johnson Road, and Prince Charles Drive heavy westbound, especially east of Fox Hill Road in the westbound lanes there, and westbound as you get closer to Beatrice Avenue, and as you get closer to Soldier Road as well. And Soldier and Robinson Road. Bernard Road, both directions this morning, and Marathon Road, heavy traffic northbound. Pockets along Soldier Road as well. Those are your hottest spots this morning. Your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank.
This is Guardian Radio 9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, always.
Staring at the ceiling, making friends with shadows on my wall. All night, hearing voices telling me that I should get some sleep, because tomorrow might be good for something. Hold on, feeling like I'm headed for a breakdown. And I don't know why, but I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe then you'll see.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan. Unfortunately, Stephen Hanna had to leave us. He's got an appointment, but he'll be back with us next week. But we are talking with Dr. Enrica Richardson, and talking about mental health in the Bahamas and Mental Health Awareness Month. That song, a lot of people feeling that, they're not feeling well, a little unwell at this time. You mentioned some things before the break. We were talking about suicide and talking about students, some people relating to that as well. Someone texting us saying, I just described my cousin, straight A's in school, but socially inept. Mm-hmm. And as you said, struggling. So many of these students are feeling added pressure with the way schools are right now, with the hybrid learning, the virtual learning, and some days you're in school, some days you're not in school, and are you going to be in?
Right.
Somebody's got COVID. It's a lot that students are dealing with.
And I'm hoping that as parents, as educators, even as our national grading system, that we really take all that into consideration. And yes, on one hand, we have to expect that this year the grades for our kids may not be the same. And so I'm talking to the parents who have those expectations that, I must have a straight A kid, and if they fall below this, that there's something wrong. There is something wrong. Mm-hmm. We're in the middle of a national pandemic.
Right.
And so they are trying to adjust and encourage them to do their best at this point. Mm-hmm. And if you see them slipping, maybe the question really is checking in on their mental health to see how they're really doing, besides just getting good grades. Mm-hmm. And they still have the added pressure. I was told yesterday by one of my clients, who's an educator, that there's still an expectation for the national exams. Right. And so, you have them feeling the pressure too of, I haven't really been in school to get that contact that I need, and I'm still expected to, excel, because this may mean whether or not I get the job. And then on the other end, I could see where as employers, in another 5 to 6 years, is going to be
it's going to come
the
back
hireable.
to bite us.
Yes.
Yes, hard.
Yes, so we're really going to have to see how we're going to maneuver through all of this.
Oh, you said something, but how will you check as a parent
Okay.
on your child's mental? What do you do?
I think you have to go in and actually, have a conversation with them. Ask them, how are things going? Don't just ask them about schoolwork.
Mm-hmm.
How are things going? Do they still have friends right now? Because I find that a lot of my, especially adolescent clients, they're losing friends on a daily basis. And some of their friends is just because their friends are isolating too.
Yeah.
And so ask them if they're interested in maybe going on a walk with you to get out and change your environment, get them off the technology for a minute, because we know that too much technology does wear and tear on the brain and brain development, which they're still doing at this point.
But, will they talk, teenagers especially? Sometimes you just want mom and dad to shut up, right? Why are you talking to me about this?
They'll talk depending on how you're approaching them. Are you approaching them as somebody striving for young adulthood, or are you approaching them as a toddler?
Right.
So it's all about your approach.
Yeah.
And
But what if you've never done that before? Talk to me like an adult. And now all of a sudden you're trying to talk to me like an adult?
Just start with, and if they ask you, well, what's going on, just say, I'm trying. I just want to check in on you. I know things have been different now. I've not been the best on some days, and I just want to see if you're just okay. There are a lot of stuff happening with kids your age right now, and if you need to, just know I'm always here to talk to. I might fuss at you sometimes, but I'm always here to talk to. That really goes a long way with adolescents, believe it or not.
Now, you and I know that that's not the typical behavior response here from a parent. It's like, snap out of it, what's wrong with you?
That is it. And I had a case with that recently where the child was told to snap out of it, and then not until they were actively making a suicide attempt, and the parents are like, oh, well, maybe this is serious.
Oh, boy.
And so I'm really urging parents right now, and then don't berate your kids or punish them after they tell you they're having suicidal thoughts. Yeah. And let me just say this, it's not about you then either. Please take it about your kids. After you realize that your kid is okay, then you can make it about you, because that's the other part of it. Like, then the parent is like, well, what am I not doing? It's not about you.
Wow.
It's about the child. Something is going on with them. They're going through puberty. They're not in their regular environments. They have a lack of socialization. They are still having academic pressure, and they're just not feeling okay. It has nothing to do with you.
And that's not only our response to children and teenagers. We tell that to big grown adults as well. So what is the response? What happens when you do tell someone who is really not in a good place, snap out of it, what's wrong with you, stop being stupid, go find yourself a woman or a man? What happens when people dismiss what you're feeling in that way?
What tends to happen for most people, it intensifies the emotion, and you tend to withdraw more. And so you'll only then hear, usually from that person again, after something usually has happened, because they're not going to tell you anymore. Right. That was their way of reaching out to you, letting you know that they're not okay. And when you dismiss them or shut them down, they don't feel safe with you anymore. So then parents start to ask me, well, why couldn't they come talk to me? Well, you remember like 2 weeks ago when you dismissed their behavior? Or do you remember when you told them, just snap out of it? They couldn't snap out of it. And then they didn't feel like you were their safety net anymore. And even for grown adults, when you go and you reach out to your partner, or you reach out to a friend, and you're just going through something that will pass, it's not passing. Did you go back and check in on them? So make sure that our language has a lot to do, and this is what perpetuates the stigma in our country. We say these words without any care or concern for how it really affects the next person. That's why they won't tell you. They may be living with an invisible mental health issue. They don't trust you. Yeah. Your language says to them, you're going to treat or discriminate them based on their mental health concerns.
Wow. We started the show talking about the number of people we see on the streets. Sometimes you just feel so helpless when you see it. And as we said, the numbers are growing. The number of people who are begging or asking for assistance seems to be increasing. What can you do as a regular citizen when you see this? Is there something we can do? And then we can talk more about what psychologists, what options are available for help, and what needs to be done on a government level. But what can you do as a regular person when you see this?
When you see this happening, I think sometimes what I offer people to ask yourself before you just assume that they're on drugs is to realize that I found that a lot of people who are on the side, who are panhandlers, or what do we call them, Jonesers, a lot of them have went through traumatic experiences in their households and they have no safe environment. So safety for them is coming on in the streets, right? And I tell people normally
safety
is the streets. So people don't leave safe homes. And I want that to set in. People don't leave safe homes. When you see the missing reports of kids who run away, they don't leave safe places. And so I would ask you to question whether or not could there have been another story? They're not all just on drugs. Could it have been a situation where maybe they were abused, they were neglected, maybe they were exposed to violence, maybe they went through a traumatic event, maybe they were in some type of military or service organization and that PTSD is still riddling them and there is no ongoing services, no access to medication.
Maybe Dorian.
A lot of people,
Hurricane
it could
Dorian,
be Hurricane
something
Dorian.
like that, yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that there is some level of access. And so we do have options besides Sandilands because most people just assume that that's the only place you can go and then it doesn't have necessarily the best reputation. So then people don't want to go there. But I'll say this, my colleagues that work there, they do a very good job and it's been updated. And Sandilands is just not for people who have severe mental health issues.
Right.
They can also send you to the CCAC, which is the Community Counseling and Assessment Center in Centerville.
That's the outpatient.
The outpatient version. And then you still have some free programs that are run through, I think, the Crisis Center and other organizations for either group therapy or maybe they have access to some individual work. And then you have paid private clinicians. And believe it or not, I'm excited because I'm hosting a panel through Mental Health Awareness Month with the insurance panel so that you can know that your benefits cover mental health services.
Okay.
And I'm saying this, if you have a coverage that doesn't, you probably need to switch plans because if your company isn't concerned about your mental health, to me, that's a problem.
So you can get an annual mental health checkup.
You can get continued mental health service depending on your plan. And so depending on it may be free or you may have to pay a minor copay. And so, but this is all covered and you have to know that you have access to services because right now, unfortunately, we have limited government services and professionals who work in government entities because of the limited organizations.
Yeah.
So we have to hopefully, I'm hoping NHI will start to cover mental health benefits so that others realize that it's not an option, it's a necessity in life because mental health is health too.
Yeah. I know people say that with the folks on the streets, well, this is a small country. New Providence, small island. They're related to somebody. Their families must drive by them and see them every day or so. What does it say about them? And should we be judgmental about that? And what does it say about the whole situation? What should we take from that?
It could be that the family had tried all of their internal support resources and they ran out of it. And so maybe the family is not sure what to do. And maybe the person wasn't ready for help at that point. Maybe it takes another type of person to come in and help because, I can talk to you about something and it goes nowhere. Some stranger could come talk to you and all of a sudden it means a great deal. Yeah. And so we have to try different approaches. And if their families are driving by, it's okay. We're a small community. We are family. So it's each person's job to try to do something. So I'm reaching back out to our original roots because I grew up in the Bahamas that we helped each other. We did something. That also exposes the fact that we don't have enough shelters.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't have shelters that take people with kids.
Right. What should we do when we see people? Should we, when they ask for money or food, is that the best response, or should you say, "Hey"?
I think it depends because if somebody's asking for food and if you can get them food, I would give them food. I wouldn't necessarily give them finances because if they are, let's say they are using drugs or alcohol, you don't want to make sure that you're enabling the behavior.
Right, exactly.
And honestly, I have at times gotten the person some food and that's what they wanted. They legitimately wanted food. And so we can't be scarred too by the one or two out there or the people who play like they're panhandlers, because we know that's also something, and that's a psychological issue. Let's not talk about that. Wow. Who will use it to get sympathy. So just ask yourself, if it was you, what would you want somebody to do?
Yeah. Oh, we know we don't have you for much longer, but let's talk about this month. There's a lot planned. Yes. And tell us who's organizing this.
We're calling ourselves the Mental Health Collective. So like I said, it was Bahamians from all over who gotten together, especially the local ones, the ones at the university, its Andelins, the organization, and just private professionals to organize this month to make sure we were doing our part to make our nation aware of mental health. Mm-hmm. So it starts from Saturday.
May 1st.
May 1st. Mm-hmm. We're going green because green is the color for mental health. So I'm glad you're starting already with your shirt. Okay. So every Friday, we're asking you to go green and wear green for mental health awareness this month. Mm-hmm. We'll be having events like free webinars that start on Sunday with Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell-Dean. She's going to be doing one of the first events with another Dr. Mark Bolden, and they're going to be talking about mental health and NAMAFA, which is the African Holocaust that a lot of us aren't exposed to, how that affects the mental health. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of us are suffering from what we call post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yes.
And so then you have Dr. Stephanie Hutchinson and Dr. Michael Neville doing an event on Monday about mind-body connection and mental health. Again, these are all free events. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'll be hosting a webinar on the 10th with insurance and mental health. And so you can access all of these, the calendar of events through the Mental Health is Health Facebook pages and IG pages, as well as all of the mental health professionals will have a post so you can get the information.
And I just posted it on our Facebook and Twitter page.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
And we'll also have free health, because fitness and mental health are completely connected. Mm-hmm. We have a national virtual book club, one for adults and one for elementary students. We're doing TikTok challenges for mental health. We have the high school students and now the college students involved because they wanted a part of it too, so they can win prizes. And so we're doing everything we can to educate the population on mental health, and so that they can feel like we're here. We're here to support them because mental health is health too. That is our theme. Mental health is health too. It's not just going and get your medical checkup. You must get your mental health checkups.
Yeah. And as you said, ask your insurance provider, is this covered?
Right. And if it's not covered, you should say to them, well, I think I'm going to switch and let's see what they can do for you. Because if it's not, the issue is if your body breaks down, they want to cover that and they're probably going to charge you tons of thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. But if your mental health breaks down, so will your body. So you're going to be paying much more. Mm-hmm. So let's be preventative and not get to the approach that we're waiting for something to happen.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to get proactive, not reactive.
Definitely. It sounds good. This is great stuff. We need to talk more about this, not just in May or around May. So we need to have more of these conversations. But Dr. E, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And guys, we look forward to having you at all of these events. And thanks, Guardian, for having us.
Definitely. Definitely. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about your financial health and what you need to know about the coming credit bureau and all that stuff that you need to know about that coming up. That's after the break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
I know they've all been talking about me. I can hear them whisper, and it makes me think there must be something wrong with me. Out of all the hours thinking, somehow I've lost my mind.
Gran, it was good to see you, but we've got to get home.
Yep, we've got to let the dog out.
Speaking of dogs, you won't believe who I saw the other day. Who?
Honey.
Remember Anton, Jeanette's oldest boy, the one with the dogs?
With local claims managers, we pay your motor claims fast. We're like a goodbye at your granny's that doesn't take 30 minutes.
We really got to get going.
So soon?
CG Atlantic Agents. Insurance, health, pensions, life. Good like that. Nassau Insurance Brokers and Agents Limited, trading as CG Atlantic Agents.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best.
Believe in best.
Meet Jackie. Jackie's a hard worker with a steady income,
but she has a personal loan and multiple credit cards to pay off. To keep her account current, Jackie opted for a loan from Fidelity Bank to consolidate her debt into one monthly payment and earn interest on a built-in savings account. Be like Jackie. Call 356-7764 to book a complimentary financial coaching session. Fidelity also offers virtual assistance. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Imagine. That's where every advancement begins, with an idea that things can be different, better. Now, imagine a world where your entertainment experience was all about you, your style, your show, at your budget. At Rev, that's what we've imagined. To join the conversation and learn more about the future of Rev TV, visit us at rev.bs/imagine.
There's only one way to have a better morning. How? Start your mornings the best way with our 2 for $6 breakfast sandwiches at Wendy's. For a limited time, choose any 2 of your favorite breakfast sandwiches, including the fresh Strachan sack muffin, honey buttermilk chicken biscuit, double sausage muffin, or the sausage egg and cheese biscuit. Wash it all down with our cold brew shake or coffee. Better mornings always start at Wendy's. Wendy's, different inside and out. Excludes airport locations.
Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean and enjoy the ease and convenience of using your CIBC First Caribbean Visa debit and credit card to order items from your favorite delivery service. Stay in, order in, and use your CIBC First Caribbean Visa debit or credit card to pay for your purchases. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information. Go cashless with CIBC First Caribbean.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
You're in a bad state when you ain't got no money. No, you're in a bad state. I don't think that's funny, no. I told my girl I lost my job. She said, baby, you got to think it out, 'cause you're in a bad state. You ain't got no money, no. You're in a bad state. I don't think that's funny, no.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with you on this Friday morning. And we're going to start a conversation this morning that's going to continue into Morning Blend business, but we wanted to start it now and get you all listening to this. Is very important. You've been hearing about it for a while, but we are getting closer and closer to the country's first credit bureau being a reality. Here to tell us more about this, what you need to know. We're very pleased to welcome from Ansbacher, Bahamas, we have Shell Stubbs. Shell, good morning. Great to have you with us.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Okay, so tell us about yourself and your role in all of this, and then we'll get into details about the credit bureau. But tell us about your role in all of this.
So I'm Shell Stubbs, and I've been in financial services for more than 30 years. In banking, offshore, and in retail. I've also taught credit analysis at the University of Bahamas for the last 15 years, so kind of been in with the subject matter, and have been an advisor for the new company that won the tender bid to start the credit bureau in the Bahamas. And so just assisting them in getting it up and running. So happy to be here and delighted that we are at this place as a country.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Now, glad to hear you say that. Some people aren't so delighted, but for those who aren't familiar with what this is, what a credit bureau is, and what it's designed to do, let's start with the basics. What is a credit bureau?
Right. So a credit bureau really is an information system, and it collects information from service providers on various data subjects. So the data subject would be the persons like us. The service providers would be the banks and other lending institutions. And they compile that information, that data, into a database with algorithms that will give you a score on the credit worthiness of the person. So really, it's an information system. It's not a financial institution. A lot of people think, oh, they're going to be giving loans and stopping us from getting loans, but it really is an information system. That's the real definition of a credit bureau. It's giving data analysis on who you are and your credit riskiness or worthiness.
A credit score based on your credit worthiness. Okay, that's going to be some interesting stuff there. Give us some examples of how that works, on what scale we're talking about, and what would, how would you define someone who is credit worthy, or someone's credit worthiness? How would you define that?
Right. So what happens is you give information you would make an application, I'm supposing with a local financial institution. They would make a request to have your credit report. Your credit report will consist of data that's been compiled around your credit history. So if you've had credit facilities, a loan, a mortgage, a credit card with a local financial institution, that information will be compiled into this database, and the way you've paid, how many days you've been late, how if the amounts you've paid have been delinquent, that information is compiled, and then a score is generated. And so if you score maybe 250, you'll be considered extremely high risk, and it'll be in a tranche we're calling, for example, J. So it goes from A to J, and then it's a 3-letter score that starts around 200 and ends around 600. So if you're at the bottom of that scoring amount, you're going to be extremely high risk, and if you're at the top of it, you're going to be low risk. And this is credit worthiness. So when you're low risk, the banks want to lend you because it means that you're going to pay back. If you're high risk, the banks are going to say, oh, let's look at that a little closer. So there's a scoring range, and it's a 3-letter number that you will get, and it's also a tranche. So you'll be 250 and you'll be in J tranche. You'll be 600 and you'll be in A tranche. So A being best, J being lower.
And this has nothing to do with the amount of money you have, the amount of money you make. This is just based on your history with making
the
payments.
Financial institutions. So it doesn't, and that's a good point, because a lot of people think, oh, if persons who make more money will have more access to credit. The credit bureau actually helps with kind of leveling the playing field, because a lot of persons may not have access now because they're not making or working at certain jobs. But if you can demonstrate that you have the ability to pay your bills on time and pay the right amounts on time, that puts you on the radar, and you can develop a good credit score. And once you develop a credit score, then persons are going to give you access. You're going to be allowed to get loans. But I think in a lot of developing countries, because it's not been an objective view of how we credit rate people, a lot of persons does not have access to credit, because there's not a objective way of saying Shell is this and Dwight is that, because there's no objective method.
Right. All right.
So I think access is the main thing that's going to happen for a lot of people. While we think it's a negative thing, it's a positive thing, because you're going to possibly, if you're good at paying your bills, no one knew before. Now you have a chance to prove that you is a good credit risk and will pay your bills on time. And so banks are going to want to give you access to credit.
All right. So what if you are somebody who's maybe you've been unbanked, or you have never paid the bills, your parents did, or your other siblings did it, or you're just starting out, you just graduated, and here you go. Where does that put you? Do you automatically go to 600, or are you at 200? How does that work exactly?
So if you've not had any type of facility, then you're not going to be rated. So you're going to have to get facility to be on the radar. You can go to the bank and apply for a credit report, and they'll probably have an exclusion rule that would say the subject has no contracts, meaning that you've never had credit. So they're going to be, everybody can get a request report, but there will be some exclusion rules for various reasons. You may not be able to generate a score because you've not had a contract, you've not had any facility with any of the local institutions, so you would not be in the database in that type of way. Although your report will be generated, it just won't give you a score. So to be able to get a score, you're going to have some facility.
And we hear this in the U.S. Will this be the case here, where the more frequently that a credit report is requested, that can impact your credit score? Is that likely to be the case here?
Actually, it is.
Wow.
Not in the beginning, but what happens is every time you request a credit report, it says to the lender that you're looking for a new loan. So if you're searching, if you're window shopping, that doesn't fare well because it says that persons have possibly denied you, and that you're just, there are persons who just love credit, who just overzealous about getting debt, and so that doesn't look well. That doesn't generate a positive result on your score.
Oh my
so
goodness!
If you're always looking for a loan, always filling a new application, always being a trigger for a new credit report, that may not increase your score. In fact, it may diminish it.
Wow!
And that's the way it works in the U.S. as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to see that eventually in our system as we get more data on our data subjects.
All right. So who is this going to cover? You said the banks definitely, but we've got a lot of the
credit unions, any money lender, eventually the utility bill payers.
Really?
Telephone companies, utility bills. They're not going to be in the first phase, but eventually we'd like to get it. Even our tax revenue system, the government, how you pay your property tax, all of that, we're hoping to get eventually into one database so that we can get a complete comprehensive score on who you are and how you've managed your credit facilities over the years. But in the first year or two, I'd say it's just going to be the major financial institutions, the clearing banks. And then, of course, we're going to add the credit unions and the other money lenders.
Okay.
And then utility bill payers and go down that path in that order.
So first phase.
And so 10 years down the road, we can have a complete history on, every possible credit facility that you've had. And that's the way it is in the U.S.
Yes.
They have a complete thorough history of everything you've done around credit.
All right, so we've got a lot of questions for you in our next hour. But so let's say that one more time. The first phase, the banks, the commercial banks mainly, in that first year or so for that first phase.
Yes. And then credit unions, we're hoping, and the money lenders. We have a lot of small companies that give loans, and eventually even persons who, the auto dealers who give credit by giving you a car, the utility bills that you pay, those are going to eventually all be in scope.
Yeah. A lot of those places say they have in-house financing, so all that will be.
Anywhere that has in-house financing, yes, exactly. You're going to be a person that would want to be a part of the platform.
I'm only joking here, sort of. But ASUS, are you going to get, whether you've been a terrible repayer of ASUS? That's going to be regulated. Okay, well, that'll be good news. It would definitely be good there. All right. And when are we looking at this? I know
So actually, the credit bureau company, it's a company headquartered in Italy. They won the tender bid from the Central Bank of the Bahamas from as long as 2019, actually. They've been licensed. Just recently hired the first staff member, so they have 2 persons, full-time staff members, location. And so just trying to tie up the loose ends, and hopefully reports can be generated as early as next quarter.
Wow. And that's when that's very close. So this summer, basically, we're looking at that. Okay. All right. So we've got a lot of questions. I have questions, and I see the text line has got tons of questions. We want to ask. I know people have a lot of questions about landlords and rent, if that's going to affect your credit score.
That's going to be in scope well, eventually.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to get into all of that. We're going to take a break for news headlines, and then we'll come back in Morning Blend Business and go deeper in this with Shell Stubbs as we talk about the Bahamas Credit Bureau, just a few months away now after all this time, finally, and what this is going to mean for you as a consumer, and if you want credit going forward, what you're going to need to keep in mind. And we're going to ask Shell, how far back are you going? Are you going to be looking at what I did 5 years ago or 10 years ago? And what about what I've done internationally? I want to talk about that as well. This is Morning Blend. We'll be back with Morning Blend Business in just a bit. Stay with us.
Some people just chasing and find all kind of grief. They let money control them and make them do stupid things.
Stay a step ahead of technology with certainty and support from Custom Computers. Our know-how team is here to help you zero in on your next big tech purchase, finding solutions that take your productivity to the next level using only the best and most reliable brands. With 4 stores all across Nassau on East Bay, West Bay, Old Fort Bay, and Palmdale, there's no stopping you from stepping up your tech. Reach out to us at 396-1100. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
The best place to get a new iPhone is at BTC. Make the iPhone 12 mini yours for just $199. That's big savings to go with our sweet postpaid value of unlimited local calls, international minutes, roaming data and minutes, plus all the data you need. Stream, share, and stay connected on the best LTE network when you switch to BTC. Visit a store to sign up today and get the iPhone 12 mini for just $199. Conditions apply.
Cash is what we have been using for generations, but it's no longer the only way to pay or receive money. That is great news for business owners. I'm Lasagna Mizik, Managing Director at RBC Royal Bank, encouraging you to find out how going cashless can benefit your business with faster transactions and settlements, better cash flow management, plus reduce risk of theft. Learn more at rbc.com/Caribbean/go cashless. RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas. Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Friday, April 30th, 2021. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan, and we're going to continue our conversation with Shel Stubbs about the Bahamas Credit Bureau in just a moment. That's coming up, but first it's time for your Morning Business Report, brought to you by CFAL. In your morning business report, Royal Caribbean Cruises Vice President of Private Destinations, James Boink, saying that all of the terms of the cruise line's Paradise Island Beach Club project have been agreed to with the government and the company, awaiting final signatures. Boink was part of the Town Planning Committee's obligatory public meeting on Royal Caribbean's Royal Beach Club project to be built on the western end of Paradise Island by the end of the year, if approved. The project is already under intense scrutiny as part of RCC's development acreage includes Crown land that overlaps with a plot of Crown land being sought by Paradise Island Lighthouse and Beach Club owned by Toby Smith. Smith has taken the government to court over the acreage, which he says he was granted a lease for. Smith, who was also in the virtual meeting Wednesday, saying Royal Caribbean's development boundary overlaps the land he said he sought by almost 200 feet. He directed his ire toward Boink and other RCC executives on the call, saying that they have refused to negotiate with him. Smith contends that the disputed property cannot be developed by RCC, as this matter is in court. Boink, answering the questions of another participant, said the disputed piece of beach is important to the beach club experience the cruise line is attempting to develop. You can read more about this remarkable virtual meeting in today's Guardian Business section. Meanwhile, as cruise companies prepare to set sail from the Bahamas, some a little more than a month from now, the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, has said cruising from U.S. ports could resume this July if cruise companies agree to the majority of their passengers being vaccinated. A letter from a top CDC official to the cruise industry, which has been widely reported on by U.S. news outlets, saying that if cruise lines can produce proper documentation and ensure that 95% of passengers and 98% of crew members are vaccinated, then cruising from U.S. ports could resume as early as mid-July. During a Royal Caribbean Cruise first quarter business update and financials call yesterday, its chairman and CEO, Richard Fain, saying his cruise company was encouraged by the latest news. The Bahamas is considered a significant player in the cruise industry, as the top cruise ports in the United States, all in Florida, call on ports in this country. Royal Caribbean plans to resume sailing from the Bahamas as its new home port beginning in approximately 6 weeks on June 12th. The cruise line will sail from Nassau's cruise port to Grand Bahama and its private island on Coco Key, and then on to Cozumel in Mexico before heading back to Nassau. The move was heralded by the government as being the boost to tourism the country needs, as cruise passengers could fly into the country and likely book room nights at local hotels ahead of their departure. But the announcement from the CDC comes as Royal Caribbean announced that approximately 75% of bookings made for 2021 are new, and 25% are due to the redemption of future cruise credits and the Lift and Shift program. And with several large investment projects slated for Grand Bahama, some of which have already begun, the Minister of State for Finance, Kwesi Thompson, declaring that Grand Bahama's recovery is set to take flight. Thompson giving the keynote address at yesterday's Grand Bahama Business Outlook, outlining several projects, including those by two major cruise lines, that are set to move the island's recovery full speed ahead after Grand Bahamians endured two economically devastating years caused by Hurricane Dorian, followed closely by COVID-19. You can read more about all of this in today's Guardian Business section. Overseas, Europe's economy shrank 0.6% in the first 3 months of this year as slow vaccine rollouts and extended lockdowns delayed a hoped-for recovery and underlined how the region is lagging other major economies in rebounding from the coronavirus pandemic. The fall in output for the 19 countries that use the euro currency was smaller than the 1% contraction expected by economists, but still far short of the rebound underway in the United States and China, two other pillars of the global economy. Figures announced Thursday showed the U.S. economy grew 1.6% during the first quarter, with business supported by strong consumer demand. On an annualized basis, the U.S. grew 6.4%. In Europe, it was the second straight quarter of falling output, meaning the region fell back into a recession despite a rebound in growth from July to September of last year. The latest data covers the quarter that ended March 31st, and there's optimism that things have improved since then. France showed unexpected growth of 0.4% compared to the quarter before, while the main negative surprise came in Germany, the continent's largest economy. Activity there shrank by a larger than expected 1.7%, as the manufacturing sector was hit by disruption of part supplies on top of the hit to services and travel from pandemic-related restrictions on activity. Closer to home in your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Thursday. Your market movers, Bahamas First, moving 2,000 shares, closing down 10 cents to 261. CIBC First Caribbean Bank moving 2,000, unchanged at 975. Doctors Hospital moving 2,050, down 6 cents to 694. Consolidated Water down 2 cents, closing at 234. Emira Incorporated up 1 cent, closing at 11.21. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 1,946.76, down 1.91. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. You are listening to Morning Blend Business, brought to you in part by Cash and Go. Own a business? Well, become a merchant and join hundreds of business owners who are getting paid in the Cash and Go mobile wallet. Grow your business with Cash and Go.
Customers and residents of Tropical Gardens are advised that the corporation will commence improvement works for about 8 days, beginning Friday, April 30th, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily. Customers should note that they may experience some interruption in water supply, and there may be interruptions in traffic flow or detours around the work area. The corporation apologizes for any inconvenience caused and appreciates your patience as they work to improve their level of service.
Hello, sir. Your credit card bill is due. Hello, sir. It's time for your monthly loan payment. Tired of creditors pounding at your door? Sign up for a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank and consolidate your debt into one low monthly payment. What's more, you will also earn interest on a built-in savings account. The pandemic has curbed many freedoms, but at Fidelity, our focus is to help regain your financial freedom. Visit a branch or speak to a Fidelity Bank at 356-7764. COVID safety measures in place at all branches. Fidelity, we're good for you.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
For the past 33 years, Great Commission Ministries has been defending the poor and hurting, feeding the hungry, and sheltering the homeless. We invite you to support our Live to Give program and make a difference in these challenging times. Become a donor by giving a one-time annual gift or a monthly donation of $50 or $100. Call Great Commission Ministries at 325-5801 for more details. Or visit our headquarters at 237 Wolf Road. Join Live to Give today. This public service announcement is proudly sponsored by this radio station.
Cash and Go. Pay all your bills at Cash and Go. Send your money from Cash and Go. Tap up your minutes. Cash and Go.
Did you know Cash and Go accepts in-store cash deposits? Any merchant within our network can have their clients deposit funds directly into their account at any of our 20-plus locations.
Cash and Go. Pay all your bills at Cash and Go. Send your money from Cash and Go. Tap up your minutes. Cash and Go. Pay insurance at Cash and Go. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a Cash and Go.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Yeah, like, you know things rough on this road, but
For real, daddy.
the block hard and everything mash up.
Real like it.
Can't even get a job. But don't worry about that though. You get one platinum hustle, daddy. Watch this one. You're getting money on the grind, that money on the grind. But you can make a hustle without keys or the pounds, the money on the ground.
Okay, welcome back to Morning Blend Business here on this Friday. Dwight Strong with you. Okay, I don't know what they're saying about there, but we continue our conversation about the Bahamas Credit Bureau. We started in Morning Blend a few minutes ago. I'm glad that Shell Stubbs is sticking around with us, having a great discussion so far. People have a lot of questions about this. The second part of this you don't have to respond to, but this is a question that came in while we were talking a few minutes ago. They seem to like to adopt everything from the United States. Can they adopt increasing a minimum wage? Well, anyway, okay, the last part. But are we just doing this for the sake of doing it? And what has not having a credit bureau and having credit scores for consumers, what has that prevented us from doing? What has been the disadvantage with that? Why can't we continue doing what we're doing?
So just to be clear, banks have always been risk rating clients, having, I guess, not formalized credit ratings, but when you go into a bank, they've used what we call the 5 C's of credit to assess you: your character, capacity, collateral, capital, and conditions. And so banks have been doing it in an informal way and very subjective way. So it's not that they've just been giving you loans blindly. They try to understand who you are and what your credit risk rating is. And that's been the basis of the loans that that we've received to date. So this is not really new in the sense that banks have been blindly giving you loans. They try as much as they can to assess you and the credit risk rate you. What the credit bureau is doing is going to make this less subjective. It's going to be a more objective view, which I think for the most part is going to be a better measure for everyone, because it's not going to depend on how you fill out that application, on the information, how good the information is that you gave to the application, what you deleted, was that job letter real or not real? So all the subjectivity that has been a part of risk rating us, that has allowed some of us to get loans and some of us to not get loans, I think that's going to go away with the credit bureau. So I think it's a progressive step for the Bahamas. It's more objective, and I think it's going to allow more people access to loans.
Right.
Because if you didn't know the right people, if you didn't fill out the application in the right way, etc., you may not have ever been considered. You don't make the right salary or work in the right sector, where they can get your automatic deduction. You may not have been considered.
Right.
So for a lot of people, that is going to provide more access.
And at the moment, or leading up to this point, had there been much communication between the banks? Were they able to tell that, well, this person defaulted on that loan at Bank A, and now they're coming around as Bank B and acting like they don't have this history of not paying back what they've borrowed? Is that happening now, or is that only going to be capable once we have a credit bureau?
So to be completely honest, what happens now is you walk into a bank and you fill out an application, they ask you how many loans you have, and you tell them what you want to tell them.
Right.
And because we've always had bank secrecy and privacy rules, they couldn't call down the road and say the shell of a bank account, the shell of a loan, how she paying a loan at a financial institution down the street. I mean, there used to be, and back in the day, we're talking 20 years when I started, you had kind of a code system where we can say, do you know this person, or have you seen this person, and you're your friend or someone may kind of
okay.
elude. But that's not what we don't have any legal means of
not standard practice
getting that information
and
using it in a credible way, because that's your privacy. So you can say, I only have one loan when you're 4, if the banks have allowed you to get them. And so the bank have been, in that regard, kind of operating in the dark, because just trusting that you have been honest and you've told the truth about your credit situation.
So what do you say to people who say, well, this is what I like about the banks here. There is this privacy, and now I'm going to feel violated by this. What do you say to people who are thinking like that?
Well, the banks have, our banking financial system is a really important part of our economic sector in the country. And the less delinquent loans we have, the better it is for our economy as a whole, the better it is for us as a country. So whilst when we get a loan that we really can't manage our service, then we become a delinquent client. We have delinquency on our books, the banks don't get their money back. That affects the bank's profitability, that affects the banks. They may have to lay off people, that affects the whole financial sector and the whole economic framework of the Bahamas. And so while you get away because you don't pay your loan, you are the only person that benefits from that. And so, generally speaking, our financial system will be more stable if we give better loans, if we have less delinquent loans. If you remember, in 2008, the whole U.S. financial system crashed because of bad credit situations, even with a credit bureau. So how you manage credit is really important, because it actually helps the economy as a whole.
Yeah. Wow.
It brings financial stability, to be honest.
All right. So as you said, and we're getting a lot of text messages about banks, and people have issues with banks. So, but anyway, we'll get to that later. But as you said, this is bigger than banks, especially after the first year or so. We'll be looking at more institutions that'll be included in this, and of course, landlords. That comes up, and your history as a renter. Boy. This is going to get into some very interesting territory there. Tell us about that, how that's going to work, and how much of your history is going to be available to the Credit Bureau.
So I think landlords will definitely be in scope down the road. And I think landlords, to be honest, have been given given credit in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
When you take somebody on, you really have no clue who you are, how they pay. Usually they're coming to you because somebody probably evicted them, but you don't know. We try to do the background check by calling the last landlord. And of course, if you call me, I'm so happy to get rid of that person. I may say, yeah, go ahead. Because she's going to leave my place and go to yours. And so the information is not credible. And so you really, when you decide to sign a lease with somebody, it's a risk that you're really taking on actually in the dark, because you're not sure if that person is going to pay, if they're going to pay on time. You have no basis for that decision. They tell you they have a job. You ask questions. Do you work? Do you get paid? Where have you rented before? But how credible is any of that information when we are betting a person that we're going to rent to? So a lot of times landlords are taking huge risk when they take people on because they really have no data to support the decision.
So are we looking at a potentially catastrophic situation here where a lot of people are not going to be able to rent or anymore or borrow anymore because of their histories? Is there any danger there?
So we're going to have some time to get it together. We're going to be starting in, like I said, in a couple of months, but a lot of the credit scoring data that we're going to be receiving now, it's not, a lot of it's not historical data. So we're going to have to build on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the algorithms that are going to be used in the first instance are going to be algorithms that really kind of pair us with people that are similar like us, persons in the Caribbean. So our scoring will probably be more tied to a bigger group. As we build the data, it'll be just uniquely data that's generated from own human credit history. So it's going to become more accurate go forward. So I'm sure the banks are going to make decisions in the first instance on the information that they have now. And as it gets sharper, as the credit scores get more accurate, then it's going to be a better tool that they can use to help them decide who they give credit to.
Mm-hmm. All right,
and to be honest, just so we're clear now, the credit score doesn't decide if you get a loan. The banks still decide that.
Right.
And banks can say, I want to take on more risk.
Yeah.
Maybe Shell is a low, a high risk or medium, or she's in a D tranche. I'm willing to take that risk on and charge a higher rate.
Yeah.
So persons who do well will probably get a lower rate. If you're A, you're probably going to get that lower rate. But if you're a D, E, F, G, you probably have to pay more. Not that you may not get it, you just a higher risk. So the banks can use that opportunity to charge you more.
Mm-hmm. So higher interest rates.
All persons are benefiting. You're going to benefit by you doing well because you're going to have a lower rate and pay less interest. And the banks are going to benefit if you're a high risk because they're taking on more risk.
Now, doesn't that seem
more reward.
Counterintuitive, though, that the people with the who might be more of a risk will have to pay more with the higher interest rates? That you're looking for trouble.
That's not new either.
No, it's not new. Oh, no, it's definitely not new. That's how it works.
Me and you walk into the bank and you come out with 4%. Come out with 10%.
Yep.
For the same loan. So the banks have done that. It's just that they've not done it in it's a more subjective way.
Yeah.
So now they'll have a more objective way to say, listen, you're getting 12% because you're actually risk rated as high, you're a G category. And so, and then you work hard at this and do well, maybe your next loan you'll be D, and maybe your next loan you'll be C. So
or even in the middle of your loan, you can have the interest rate lowered, right? Yeah, if you're doing well. Okay, so how far back are we going? Will you get into my loan history from 2005? What are we looking at? No. Okay.
No, the Credit Bureau have been testing data for 2 years, but it's going to be a building system where they're going to use data for the first few months, and they're going to build on that. So the first year, like I said, it's going to be the scoring is going to use algorithms and data that's from a wider group. Caribbean people, like how we react in similar situations, not necessarily unique to the Bahamas. So they're going to give you a chance to do better, service your loans better, so that information builds next year this time, you could have changed your potential credit score because you paid all of your loans on time and the right amount for the last 12 months. And so that affects your credit score next year this time. And so you could be in a better situation. So no risk, and it's not going back to historical data.
Okay.
Some historical data, but very little.
So we all have the opportunity to repair.
Start fresh.
Start afresh. All right. Well, that's good news for a lot of people. Now, wait. How do you do that, though? I mean, if you've got a bunch of bad loans and you're known here and there and you're blacklisted in these places, I mean, are there some tips that you can do to help repair that reputation?
So I think what we've done historically, which has been, I'm not sure why we do this as a society, but we really avoid the banks. We run, they call us behind the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And really the banks want to talk to you and work things out. And so I think, especially in this pandemic, persons have lost jobs and the bank are calling in distress. And they're like, don't bother me, I can't pay. That's really not the way you should deal with it. You should kind of make an appointment, sit down and say, listen, I've lost my job. What can we do? I want my house. I want to save my house. I want to save my car. Is there anything we can do? Can we extend the years? Can I just pay interest only? Can we just reduce my payment by some other method? What can we do? And when we have those conversations, the banks want to work with you. But what we do is we hang up the phone, we cuss you out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't have those conversations that will be so helpful.
Right.
I think every bank in this country would love the opportunity to sit and talk with you because they want a loan that's performing. No one wants to write off a loan. No one wants a delinquent customer. But if you don't have the conversation and we don't try to work it out, then it all ends in a negative way, which it doesn't have to. And persons have situations that they can't see. We couldn't see the pandemic. Persons get sick. You have a catastrophic illness where you were not able to continue. The banks want to know that. They want to work with you and see what they can do to work it out. But I think we've had this avoidance tactics that we've tried, and that's not benefit us in any way. So I think our new go forward could be one wonderful way of just let's have the conversation. Let's see how we can work this out.
All right. That sounds really great. Okay, we're getting a lot of messages, as we said, and you can message us, text us 422-4796, or tweet us at morningblend969, or facebook.com/morningblend969. Call in as well, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. We're talking with Shel Stubbs, who's played a pivotal role in helping to get the Bahamas Credit Bureau off and running and off the ground. Okay, so here's a text here, and I don't know if they were listening to us earlier, but anyway, this text says, it seems like the purpose of the Bureau is to really collect information and for the banks an empirical method to determine whether or not to give out loans, as opposed to the U.S., where the credit score is pivotal in determining your loan interest rate. Is there any consideration being given by the banks here to use the credit score to determine rates? And we just said that, but say that again, Shel, so that people can understand.
So the credit bureau is an information system, and they collect that information and they will rate you, give you a credit score. The banks will decide if they want to give you that loan depending on that score. And banks, like I said earlier, historically there's never been a one size fit all. We may have thought so depending on our circle, but some persons will get a higher rate for the same facility. And that's because the banks have risk rated you on whatever method they've used. And so they consider you a high risk. I've worked 30 years, you've only worked 5 years. I've demonstrated I've paid off one mortgage, you've never had a loan. So of course you will be looked at as a higher risk. And so you would have gotten a higher rate. And so that's always been the case. But I think the credit bureau is going to crystallize it. It's going to benefit everybody because I'm going to be able to say, my credit score is an 8. Can I have a 3% rate?
Mm-hmm.
Because you understand what your credit risk rating is now. Before you may not have. The banks may not have even given you that information. You weren't even aware that you were risk rated. And so now that you are, and you know, and you have a credit report, you can be able to negotiate that. And I think banks will do that because that means that you're going to pay your loan, and that's a performing loan that they want to have in their books. Now, of course, if you measure up in your E or F, then you may not have so much ability to negotiate, but they still want to give you that loan, but they're going to give it to you at 10%.
Yeah.
And then you demonstrate that you pay that well, then your next facility give you the lower rate.
All right, so during this process here, as we lead into this, especially for this first year, do consumers have to do anything, or will this just be happening around you? All this information will be collected around you, and you just will be rated wherever you fall. How will that work exactly?
So I think the next time you decide that you want to approach a bank or to go auto loan and get a car or get a facility, they're gonna ask you they're gonna say, can we get a credit report on you? Because of course they have to get your approval. And you're gonna say, well, yes, I want a loan. That's part of the new go forward. And so you're gonna approve them getting a credit report on you. They get their report.
And what will that entail? Them getting
so the report is gonna give you, of course, the personal data, name, first name, last name, our NIB number, and our date of birth are the four main triggers. So first name, last name, NIB, and date of birth. So we understand that it's you, and NIB is a unique identifier we have in the Bahamas. And then it's gonna give an outline of any credit facility that you would have had with another bank. So if you were just approaching one of the local banks, but you had a loan previously, that report will show that loan and how you've serviced it. If you had a credit card, it will show that credit card and how you service it. It's not going to show utility bills in the first instance, but eventually it will. The utilities services that you may have had, and leases will be in that eventually. Utility bills will be in that eventually. Other credit facilities will be in that. Maybe the tax revenue system will be in that eventually. But in the first instance, it's off categories. So here's the loans you've had. You had a credit cards you've had. Installment loans will be your mortgages and your loans that have the same payment every month. Non-installment loans will be like a credit, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
Credit facility, sorry, you get overdraft.
Sure.
That's your non-installment. And then, of course, you have the credit cards. And so those will be on that report, and it will say what the balances are, what the credit limits are, how you've serviced those loans, if you paid on time. So the history of the servicing of those credit facilities. And then there's also a category for services, which, like I said, will eventually come into play, how you've paid those bills on time.
All right. And again, that you say won't go back further than 2 years.
No, for sure.
So the company, is it still CRIF?
Yes, it's CRIF.
So CRIF, they're going to go to every financial institution and see if there is Shell Stubbs or Dwight Strachan here, and do you have any loans? Does he have any, or she have any loans here? Is that how that works?
No. So when the government of the Bahamas passed the Credit Reporters Act, Credit Bureaus Act, in 2018, it actually made it mandatory for banks to sign up. And so banks will be signing up, and they will give the data over to the credit bureau.
It'll just all go.
That data.
All their clients, everything will just be handed over. Wow. Okay. So it will be happening all around you, whether you do anything or not.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Well, that is something to know. All right. Let's take this call. Caller, you're on Morning Blend Business.
Good morning. The question what I was about to ask, she just explained that.
Okay.
I was saying about it too. Is how much it's going to cost the customer who's going to pay for the credit report?
Okay.
So that's a good question.
Yeah.
So CREF is going to be charging the banks, and the banks will determine what they charge the customer. But I think it's going to be a minimal amount. I don't imagine it'll be $15, $20 the most.
And as you said earlier, you don't want to be getting too many credit reports because that will affect your score.
And of course,
and there's an opportunity that what the government did in the Credit Reporting Act is there's an opportunity to get one free score a year, which you don't pay for. Well, you can approach CREF and say, "Listen, can I see how I'm doing without any facility attached."
Excellent.
So and that's a standardized thing that's around the Caribbean. You get one free credit report a year.
Yeah.
So that you could understand how you are, how you could, how you've been doing and how you've been assessed, so that you're not unaware.
Okay, call you. Another question?
Yeah. No, I just a statement. So it seems like all of your personal information that you have with a particular institution is now available to all the institutions that you deal with without your consent. That's how the law is written.
So it's not that. So we'll see the credit report, but we wouldn't see which bank. So you'll get your credit report and we'll know that you have facilities. But where those facilities are, which institutions, that will not be known to the institution that you're applying for. So you walk into a bank tomorrow and said, I want a loan. And they say, okay, can you give us approval to get a credit report? They will get a report and they'll see that you have a loan, you have a mortgage, you have a credit card, not necessarily where. So that the institution's information is still private.
Okay.
It's just that they understand that you do have credit facilities, which questions that they've always asked you, and you've given that information, but how accurately have you been given that information? That is going to go away because they're going to have the objective information. And if there's an error, if they said, "Oh, sir, I noticed that you have a loan here," and you said, "No, I don't," then that could be an error on the report, and they will refer that back to the credit bureau. And there's a window of, I think, 10 to 15 days where they have to correct your report. If it's in fact an error, they will go back to the financial institution.
If you'd like to make a call,
erroneous information, and say, "Listen, Michelle Stubbs said she's never had a loan, and we have this on our database. Could you confirm that this is accurate?" And they said, "Oh, mistake," or "Oh, yes, it is."
Wow. All right. So which companies will have access to this information?
Sorry?
Which companies will have access to this information?
So nobody will have access to the database other than Kraft. Nobody. And they have strict data privacy rules. That data is protected. But when you approach the lending institution, they're going to request to report.
So you would have to give permission for anyone to
and you have to give permission for the request to report.
Okay, excellent. And you said eventually the money lenders, the short-term lenders are going to be a part of this as well.
Yes.
But not the first year.
The short-term lenders are coming on stream really quickly, actually. Utilities may not be the first year.
Right.
But the short-term lenders and credit unions.
Okay.
We'll open in the first phase, actually. But we'll know in a month or two how fast that's going to happen.
Right.
Certainly, the intent is for all of the money lenders to be in the first phase.
Okay. Call 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Okay, how far back? We already answered that one. Okay, this one here. I recently attained a loan from a bank to consolidate my credit cards. However, rather than offering me the percent interest relevant to my grade, which is B, okay. They stated that because of COVID, I don't qualify for a B rating, but rather C. What now? I'm paying. Okay, this might not be related to us. I don't know. But the banks do say each bank already does this assessment on their own for their clients. Right, Shell?
Right. And some people know and some people don't. So that person probably knew that they were assessed. And banks have been risk rating, like I said, historically. It would be irresponsible to just give out the money. The money that they're lending is our savings, our deposit money. So you just cannot give that out without some criteria to assess the creditworthiness of that person. So we've been doing it. It's just that the credit bureau just crystallizes it, makes it a little bit more objective.
Now, you mentioned the one free credit score. Should we all take advantage of that? You'd want to know everybody. Is there a time of year you'd recommend doing that? How should we go about that?
And I actually think it's going to be at the end of the first year. And that's when it's going to be more meaningful as well. So I think, that I think the law may be written annual at the end of the fiscal year, but I'm not sure if that's set in stone.
Oh, it's not set in stone yet about the one free.
It is. One free is set.
Okay.
Timing. Will it be at every December, or is it going to be every anniversary?
But you would recommend consumers take advantage of that. Definitely every year. Get your free one at least. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you want to know. You'd want to know that.
You want to know.
Definitely.
You yes.
Okay, let's take this call and then we're going to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
You doing?
Doing well.
Right.
Okay, so now you're going to be sticking to the topic, right?
Of course. Yes, of course. Persons, I'm just calling really to say that it's unfortunate for the Bahamian people to find ourselves in such a financial dilemma, individually and nationally speaking, and to have the credit bureau coming on stream on the level of which is being spoken of today. It's awesome. It's good and bad. I'm only here to talk about the good right now, and maybe just to say, anything I would say about the bad would only be to say people with money don't need credit agencies and banks. Some of them don't need banks, okay, and definitely credit scores. But I encourage good things like this because Bahamian people must be taught to be responsible when we with our finances and especially with other people's finances. So I'm not going to ever on this particular point of order try to downplay or hinder, be a stumbling block in the way of the Bureau.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Is that part true there, Shell? People with money don't need to be concerned about their credit score and credit reports. I don't know. If
Well,
that's the
to be
case.
honest, so we understand that credit gives you access, and a lot of things get started with credit. And so, if you have money and you can start your own business, fine. But most of us weren't born wealthy, so we do need credit to get some things going. Whether it be a small business, whether it be getting a house or a car, we do need some type of financing. And that's generally the way it is in most places. 1% in the U.S. are the billionaires, and then everybody, huge middle class, and then even a bigger lower class. In the Bahamas, we have a smaller middle class, actually. So a lot of us do need some credit facility. But the bright side is if you get somebody give you a chance to get access to credit and you can turn your situation around, that's an opportunity that I see that it will help build the Bahamas.
Yeah, definitely.
There are some persons who are never going to need to borrow and more power to them. Some persons have money, you have money, lend it to your child, they don't need to go to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
We love that.
Must be nice.
If you could do that for yourself, must be nice. But
Right.
most of us don't fall into that category. Yeah. We actually need to we need access to credit to get our life going and do big things. And so this is going to be an opportunity for a lot of us who may not had that before.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a break and be back with more. We'll take more calls and read more of these text messages. We're talking with Shell Stubbs, who is talking to us about the Bahamas Credit Bureau. It's getting close, folks. Getting close. Stay with us. This is Morning Blend Business.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Boy, why you look so mashed up like clothes at the washer?
No, boy, just a hard day, boy.
Hard day? What happened? The breakfast lady ran out of tuna and gritty.
We need to start joking about everything, This serious, boy. This real serious, boy.
Boy, what's serious? Tell me.
All right, well, today, boss gave us, boy, one big contract. And nobody else get a chance and nobody say nothing.
Boy, you know that ain't right. You know government contracts ain't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, but nobody's saying nothing. Boss man just tell people to sign the papers. Then he send me to meet his boy downtown and collect this envelope.
You need to tell somebody. You need to become a whistleblower.
You know I's a real man, but I never blow no whistle. I be drunk all my life and junk.
No way. A whistleblower is someone who tells people what they see when they see something wrong happening at work.
But I ain't no whistleblower, and I ain't no snitch. I still white there,
But ain't nobody can know it's you. All you gotta do is call Crime Stoppers, or you could text them from inside the Crack Crime Bahamas app. They don't ask about you, and your call goes straight through to Miami, so nobody know you is. And if you text, your message get mixed up like Kong Salad.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
Cash it and go. Pay all your bills and cash it and go. Send your money from cash it and go. Tap up your minutes. Cash it and go.
Did you know Cash and Go accepts in-store cash deposits? Any merchant within our network can have their clients deposit funds directly into their account at any of our 20-plus locations.
Cash it and go. Pay all your bills and cash it and go. Send your money from cash it and go. Tap up your minutes. Cash it and go. Pay insurance and cash it and go. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a cash it and go. Hey! Sting in the building, everybody hands up in the air. Who that? Sting in the building, everybody hands up in the air. Let's go! Hey! Get money, hey! Get money, hey! Get money, hey! Get money.
And we've got your final look at weather for this morning. Here's what's happening. We've got a weakening ridge of high pressure that's going to sustain moderate to locally fresh breezes across the islands while shifting eastwards ahead of an approaching cold front through tonight. For all areas today, your forecast calls for mostly sunny, very warm, and a bit breezy conditions with a slight chance of light passing showers, becoming mostly fair and mild with isolated showers, mainly near the extreme northwest Bahamas tonight. Temperature-wise, we're at 81 right now in Nassau. Look for highs getting to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. For your weekend, that ridge of pressure will continue to weaken as the cold front sags southwards and lingers near the northern islands before shifting east of the Bahamas through the weekend. So for tomorrow, Saturday, look for variably cloudy, hot and humid conditions with isolated showers and the chance of an isolated thunderstorm in the northwestern islands. Mostly sunny and warm with a slight chance of isolated showers in the central and southeast Bahamas. Sunday, partly sunny to sunny, warm and a bit breezy with a few light showers. That's your morning blend weather check.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
Hey! Sting in the building, everybody hands up in the air. Who not? Sting in the building, everybody hands up in the air. Let's go! Hey! Get money, hey! Get money, hey! Get money, hey! Get money. Everyone wants money. Everyone needs money. It's all about money. Tell me, who don't need money to pay them bills?
We are back here with Morning Blend Business on this Friday morning. Dwight Strachan talking with Shell Stubbs, getting information about the Bahamas' first credit bureau, just months away now. Shell's part of the team that's been instrumental in putting the framework in place for the credit bureau. All right, we're getting some great questions here. You can still continue to call us, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us. Somebody's asking here, the government takes 6 months to send real property tax sometimes. Will our score be affected by them?
Eventually, the real property tax data will be a part of the bureau system. So I wouldn't say in this year, but definitely it's going to be a part of the mix go forward.
Mm-hmm.
So we would take an opportunity to get that sorted out as well, because generally speaking, that's not a bill that we pay. So we would want to.
So you not paying your real property tax is going to eventually be on your credit report. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and that is good to know. We talked about this earlier, but let's see if we can say this again. Why does asking for your credit report affect your score? Let's say that one more time.
Why? Sorry. Because they have something called systemic borrowers, people who in credit, they say people who are, you have this love for credit and you systemic about your approach to credit.
Mm-hmm.
Most persons want to get credit as a matter of needing it for some opportunity, but there are persons who kind of borrowing addicts. And so that's the thinking behind this. If you're always looking for a loan, then that means you don't have control of your finances. You're more risky.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you need a loan for everything, if you need a loan for vacation, if you need a loan for school fees, if you need a loan for everything, you're looking a little bit more risky.
But if I pay that off, if I pay it on time, and if it doesn't affect my debt service ratio, why does that matter?
If you paid it off, then you've demonstrated you've completed a loan, but you're not at the same time looking for 3 and 4 loans or 5 loans. So if you're paying loans off and starting new ones, that's awesome.
Okay, so if I every time I complete a loan, I get a new one, that's fine. But you wanting 3 and 4 loans concurrently, that's a problem.
That's the issue. Yes.
Even if you are paying them on time.
And and honestly, it depends on if you have the ability. I think if you have the ability to service all and service all well, then a 5th loan, then it begs the question. So what? Loans are, so credit is supposed to facilitate means and end. It's not supposed to be a lifestyle. You're not supposed to use credit to do regular stuff.
Yeah.
It's supposed to, for you to facilitate your big purchases, your investments, possibly in a small business or something substantial. I think how we've used it historically in the Bahamas is we've used, and not only us, I think counterparts to the North as well, you get credit for everything, and that's really not good money management skills. You want to kind of try to save for some things and use credit for the things that you can save for. So you can save for vacation. You should be able to save for school fees. You may not be able to save for a house, which is understandable, which is reasonable. So let's get the big loan, the mortgage, let's get the big $20,000 car payment, but do we need to get the $1,000, $1,200 school fee loan or a vacation loan? That indicates that you're not doing well with your money.
Yeah, okay.
And so the goal is for you to be a better manager of money, personal finances better, so that you are better credit risk.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Dwight. How you doing?
Doing well.
Morning, guest. I had a question. I texted earlier, but I kind of made some typos, so I just wanted to call to clarify. My question was, I had applied for a loan at the institution, and initially I was told that I'm a B client, but because of COVID, they said the system made some adjustments, which pushed me to being a C client.
Wow.
So my question was this. Initially, around the same time when I was applying for the loan, I received an email offer stating that I should be eligible for 10%. I brought it to the attention of the loan officer, but nothing was done. So initially, I ended up getting the loan as though I was a C client for 16.6%. Now, my question is there anything I can do to still get that 10%?
So the banks make these decisions in and of themselves. No credit bureau or government can tell a bank what to do. A bank really has autonomy to say, I will shall a loan or not give a loan at a good rate. And I get to say I want it or I don't want it. So we don't really have recourse in that regard. But what we're hoping is once you have that independent score that everybody can get, you can say to that bank, you know what, I can go down the road because I'm a B credit risk rating. Somebody else will be more than happy to give me a loan. So I think that's going to help us as consumers because you probably felt like you're risk rated according to their standard. You may go down the road and they may have a different risk rating for you. But once we have the credit risk rating score, then the ground is level. So you can say, here's my credit report. I am a B client. Most banks will jump to give you a loan. So when that bank wants to give it at 16%, you could possibly negotiate and say, listen, I'm not going to pay that.
Wow.
And other bank will say, okay, I'll take you at 10 because that's the score that they all understand and everybody's on the same level. But now, because what's happening now is they're all risk rating internally, you may go down the road and they may not see you as a B. And so the rate could still be 16 or it could be 18. So, the hope is with the credit bureau that will help you because everybody understands the same scoring mechanism and that score is going to be seen by everyone.
Okay, so if I understand it correctly, you're saying that my only two options are is to try to currently renegotiate with the current bank I'm at or to go to a different bank and see if they... hello?
Yeah, a little louder for us. You said.
Right. So currently you're saying my only options are to renegotiate with the current bank I'm at, or if not, go down the road and see if they could offer me a better rate and then just take my loan elsewhere.
So you probably don't have the ability to do that now because, like you said, you're a B client for that particular bank. That's unique to that bank. And so you couldn't say today, listen, you're telling me I'm a B and you told me 10, now you're telling me 16. And let me go down the road. You could still go down the road, but now will they view you as a B? You understand what I'm saying? Because everyone's doing their own risk rating internally.
So the credit report will be proof that you are
the credit
a worthy...
report will be that objective measure that everyone's going to see.
Yeah.
Now the banks still get to decide who they want and who they don't want. But at least you get to say, I'm a B and that means something. Right now, that B that you're referring to only means something to that particular bank because that's their unique rating of you. And other banks may be doing it differently, using a different system, not even using the same data points. So that B doesn't mean anything else except to the bank that you're dealing with now. But that should go away.
Okay. Caller, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's take one final call and then we'll get to a couple more of these messages. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes.
Yep. Caller, go on.
Yeah, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well.
Good. Listen, it is sad, right, that many Bahamians, most of us, have less than $1,000 in our bank accounts. How does that affect your credit rating, please? I'll hang up.
Okay. All right. Does your savings, what you have it's saved in your bank accounts, does that have any impact on your credit score?
So not directly, but of course, the more money you have, banks require you to put down payments. So for you to even get a loan, you have to put some equity, inject something in.
Mm-hmm.
So once you don't have that money, that savings to inject, then a loan may not be granted in the first instance, and then you may not get on the radar for credit score. So from that indirect way, it does impact, but the credit score doesn't take into consideration any saving balances. It's only credit facilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This question here, I hope I'm going to get this right. What about people that have a company but the account is in their name? Will they treat the company score separate from that individual?
So if you get a loan that's in the name of the business and you're a shareholder, then you probably you're going to be linked to that credit score.
Mm-hmm.
You can also have personal credit facilities as well. So you can have both.
Okay.
But if you have a business, a shareholder, the owner of that company will be linked. You also could be linked if you have a joint account. You could be linked to the person who you jointly have that mortgage or loan with.
Oh my. Okay. All right. This question here, oh boy. In the middle of an economic catastrophe and pandemic, when tens of thousands have lost their jobs, why are we rolling this out now? How cruel. That's a text. I don't know how you respond to that.
I'm not sure that this, we have had this on the radar way before the pandemic.
Right.
The pandemic is something that nobody thought about. Like I said, it became a law in 2018. CREF was chosen in 2019, and then we had a pandemic in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's been something that's been on our radar for a while, and I think our international organizations, IMF, World Bank, have recommended it to secure stability of our financial system. And so it's been a recommendation that we've sought as a country to adhere to because we see the value of it, and has some positive effects on the economy. And so right now we're thinking it's going to hurt the economy, but I think if we begin to go forward giving the better loans, when you get in another crisis, you don't run the risk of a financial collapse because persons you've given bad loans that were not really good credit risk, and the banks are having huge losses, which impacts our entire economic structure. So I think whilst the timing may seem not the best because persons are not working and can't get loans, I think we start now, and once we ramp up and our economy turns around, it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for persons to start over and be able to begin facilitating or managing the facilities in a better way so that they could build a credit score and have opportunities that they would not have had. So actually the pandemic gone where you have this huge year of delinquent loans, that's probably good that that's behind, because if it had happened next year and you had a credit score in place, then of course everybody's credit score would have been down the drain because persons are not managing their facilities because they're not working.
Well, that's a way to look at it.
It's behind us, so I think that's actually a good thing when I think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, some people seem to need some assistance in not overextending themselves, and this may help to have the evidence right in your face, like, no, you need to calm down, you need to slow down, and manage what you're doing right now.
And you didn't pay your loan for the whole of 2020, that's gone. So let's start hopefully with a new slate.
Okay.
And begin paying on time and paying, managing our facilities in a responsible way, and then we can get to start clean and have opportunities to get more credit.
Absolutely. Shell Stubbs, thank you so much. We really appreciate this discussion so far this morning, and we hope we can have more the closer we get to this coming into being. As you say, it could be by the summer that we would see this in place.
Happy to be here and just happy to be on Guardian Radio and be happy to come back.
Okay. Wonderful stuff. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
And that is it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow, Monday morning. It's the weekend, Monday morning, with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight, Strachan, have a great day. Stay tuned. On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.